All right, thank you all for your patience. Chair Thigpen, for the record, we will go ahead and call the meeting to order at 9:06 a.m. We will get started with roll call.
Chair Thigpen.
Here.
Vice Chair Whitaker.
Present.
Member Dr. Aldaba.
Present.
Member Dr. Holmes Sutton.
Present.
Member Richards.
Present.
Member Salcido.
Present.
Member Shante Rosales.
Present.
Member Stern.
Present.
Student Representative Ayala.
Present.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will go on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. All right. We will start with the first period of public comment. As a reminder, this public comment period is for anything that is on the agenda for today. For items not on the agenda, that public comment period is at the end of today's meeting. It looks like I have, and if you're new here, you'll come down here, push the button to turn the light on. It'll light up green. You'll know it's on, and you'll state your name for the record before speaking, and you'll have 3 minutes. Looks like I have a public comment card for Veronica Ramirez. And Vice Chair Whitaker is keeping track of time today, and we'll let you know if you get hit time. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Veronica Ramirez. Thank you for your time. I am a math teacher at Nevada Prep. I also hold an accounting degree and am a long-term small business owner. I am here not for myself only, but to represent the families and staff who have been hurt now by 2 charter schools, first at Teach and now at Nevada Prep. Many have been the same now twice. This is not okay. What we keep seeing is late actions, problems with payroll and PERS. They should always be caught early. Instead, they have been allowed to build up until there's a crisis. As a person with an accounting degree and a long-term small business owner, I don't understand how missed retirement payments get this far without someone noticing. There should always be basic monthly checks, which could have flagged this all early. Now, Nevada Prep's charter won't be renewed. We have heard talk about transition, but teachers still don't know if we're going to have a job come the next school year. All this uncertainty not only hurts our staff, but all our students. People cannot plan their lives around just vague promises. At Teach, families were hurt. Now here, this is happening again at Nevada Prep. Again, same case, same families, different situation, different time. When I was at Teach, we reached out multiple times and got told that nothing can be done to help us. So what do? Finances are about checks and balances. But now we have oversights. We have come too late. Missed PERS payments should have been caught promptly and could have been basic monthly checks. Nevada Prep charter won't be renewed. A transition means little to us teachers who don't know what our jobs will be held. We ask for monthly PERS checks with proof of payments, a clear response of who our one contact is, written steps to staff for retirement records, And then who's going to cover these costs? We need a real job support plan. Please confirm who monitors PERS, that we have monthly checks, and the staff will be given written guidance and job support during this transition. Unfortunately, you don't seem to care. Many people, especially children, your inactivity and petty monitoring have hurt so many people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. I'll add a quick comment to say that I think after today's meeting, a lot will be figured out, hopefully. And I would encourage you to stay in contact with our staff. And I think a communications plan likely will be put together to help resolve some of this. So that's my hope for today. Thank you. Do we have any other public comment in the boardroom? Any public comment online?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 445, please press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please continue.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you.
we can.
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you. Please continue.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, my name is Samantha Terranova. I am a current teacher at Nevada Prep as well, and I am also a former teacher from Teach Las Vegas. Yesterday, we were notified that our charter would not be renewed because we were being placed in a breach. I did ask for some clarification on, why that breach was happening. We were told academic reasons as well as financial. So for me, it's a little bit frustrating as a middle school teacher to be told that, academics weren't improving when we went up by 10 points in the middle school, 1 point away from being a 2-star school for the middle school. So, it's a bit frustrating to say they aren't growing. Not to mention, we're also facing an uphill battle. When you guys closed Teach down and you refused to help us at all at Teach when we reached out to you, those kids were left to just play for a whole year. My students told me about the things that they did at Teach after the staff left because we were receiving no support, having our money stolen by the CMO at Teach, who was able to run off to California. They left. They had nothing to do with their school anymore. They took our money and left. And when we tried to ask for help, we were given nothing. And then those kids were allowed to run around and play for an entire year. So we faced an uphill battle last year with trying to get those kids caught up after missing essentially a year of school. We are also now facing another battle with the kids from Eagle, with the kids from Battleborn, who had to be moved from their schools yet again to the Nevada Prep. And now they're going to have to move schools again. So I'm just wondering if there's any accountability with these schools' closures, because these are negatively affecting the kids. It creates a vicious cycle where these kids are going to perform lower academically. If they keep moving schools, it has been proven that they will perform lower academically. They will have issues with anxiety and have negative feelings about school that is created from that constant movement. So it is frustrating for us as teachers with these schools. They keep closing, these kids keep bouncing around, and they are behind and they are low. And again, it's just this vicious cycle. And I feel like there has to be some accountability when, like Ms. Ramirez said, nobody comes until it's too late. There's nothing being done until it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment online?
Yes, we do. Please stand by 1 minute. Caller with the last 3 digits of 618, please press star 6 to unmute yourself. Again, caller with the last 3 digits of 618, please press star 6 to unmute. Thank you. Please continue.
Hi, I'm hoping that you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. My name is Jennifer Parati. I am a parent of 2 students at Nevada Prep. They have recently transitioned to this school. I'd like to also note that I am a master's prepared educator for nursing professional development and have recently moved to the Las Vegas area to take over the children's hospital that is coming, and very invested in this community. And so my 2 children started attending a Clark County public school in the beginning of September as we moved. They spent about 3 days at both of their schools, which are close to our home, approximately about a 5-minute drive, and even could be a walking distance. My children feared for their safety. The classes were large. There were about 1,000 students in one of the schools for my elementary student. When I picked my child up, it was like picking a child up throughout a herd of other children where nobody knew my child, that they were new or could support them. I immediately went online to figure out what else Clark County and this area in Las Vegas would offer for my children, or did I have to immediately put them into a pay school or into a homeschool environment? Because I know from all of my education and training, as I'm currently getting my doctoral degree from the University of Pittsburgh, that sometimes environment and culture actually impact the growth and learning of children more than standardized tests can ever tell. And so when I found Nevada Prep, I was just so excited to meet Tracy, who got me enrolled very, very quickly. I have a great relationship with the principal, Mr. Ross. My daughter loves Miss Olivia and Miss Graham, and I can't speak to the enormous impact that they have had on her growth over just a few months. She is now speaking also, some bilingual, which to us is very, very important. And so I would be, myself and my children would tragically be affected if this school was not to be open. I drive 30 minutes to get to the school and 30 minutes to get back because I believe in the culture that they have there. I believe in the connection to our students, and I see the commitment to the students. And so when I read that this was a possibility for my children, the fear in me escalated. And so I'm just asking, as you look here today, to maybe consider looking beyond these standardized test scores and really look at the education and environment and culture that our children are put in every single day, because that actually will have a greater impact on their success and their transition to high school and their transition to college and universities and all of that. And I'm a parent of 4 children, 2 who have graduated college and are on to their graduate, and 2 younger children now. And as I become a member of this community, I really am hopeful that my children will be able to attend a school that I feel looks beyond just the classroom and really does, welcome us as a family and as a community. And so just wanted to take the time today to say that I support Nevada Prep. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you for being here today. Any other public comment online?
We have one more. Please stand by. Caller with the last 3 digits of 588, please continue.
Good morning, members of the authority. My name is Ray Frazier, and I serve as Managing Director of Operations at Opportunity 180. We're a nonprofit committed to increasing the number of high-quality public schools in Nevada. I'm calling in this morning to speak in support of Nevada Rise Academy and its request to relocate to permanent facility finance through the Nevada Facilities Fund. The Nevada Facilities Fund ensures that a high-quality, community-rooted school like Nevada Rise Academy is not limited by its size or the volatility of the commercial real estate market. To be eligible for the fund, a school must meet academic, financial, and operational benchmarks. Nevada Rise has met financial standards for 4 consecutive years and has demonstrated meaningful academic progress, serving a high-need community, including significant populations of English learners, students qualifying for FRL, and students with IEPs. The school is a hallmark of the community and continues to positively impact students, families, and public education in Clark County. The Nevada Facilities Fund works to ensure schools like Nevada Rise can have access to below-market, mission-aligned financing, which is very difficult for independent schools to obtain on the private market. Through the Nevada Facilities Fund, Nevada Rise can purchase a safe, permanent, adequate facility at rates they could not achieve as a standalone entity. which typically means lenders view them as higher risk, pushing them into more expensive, more restrictive financing. Through the agenda item before you today, Nevada Rise is freeing up resources that will stay in classrooms rather than going to interest payments. I urge you to approve the amendment, request, and continue supporting financing options for independent charter schools that ensure equitable access to high-quality facilities. Nevada Rise Academy's relocation is exactly the kind of project the Nevada Facilities Fund was created to support, and it will result in stronger educational environments for students and a stronger financial footing for the school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Any other public comment online?
Chair, you have no more callers at this time.
All right, thank you all very much. We will move forward. One thing I forgot to mention at the start of the meeting is we will take some items out of order today. So when that happens, I'll let everyone know. But with that said, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, the approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Member Holmes Sutton, I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Member Salcido will second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 4, the SPCSA Executive Director's Report. Over to you, Director McAdin.
Thank you. Melissa McAdin for the record. The SPCSA site visit team has completed site visits for all 6 of the former CCSD charter schools now in the SPCSA portfolio. We want to highlight one of those schools today, Odyssey Charter School. Odyssey serves 2,391 students from grades K through 12. One of the major bright spots for Odyssey is its strong performance on the Nevada School Performance Framework. Both the middle and elementary school are showing impressive results, with the middle school earning a 5-star rating and an index score of 84.5 out of 100. The elementary school also performed very well, receiving a 4-star rating with a score of 76.1. What really stands out is that both schools earned a perfect 10 out of 10 on the Closing the Opportunity Gaps indicator in English language arts, showing the school's commitment to supporting all students and helping them grow. Another strength is Odyssey's expanding career and technical education program. The school currently offers pathways in graphic design and cybersecurity, giving students hands-on experience in high-demand fields. Even more exciting, Odyssey is preparing to introduce a video game design pathway in the near future, creating additional opportunities for students to explore creative and technical career interests. Next up on the agenda is the delinquent PERS information. It is included as part of my report, and I don't have any additional comments to add beyond what is in the board packet. Regarding new schools in their incubation year, we officially kicked off our new schools training on December 11th, yesterday, with a fiscal policies and procedures training. Next week, we will provide bylaws training and have our first monthly check-ins with the schools. In January, before our next SPCSA board meeting, we will provide the following trainings to our schools in the incubation year: governance standards, student enrollment, and Nevada open meeting law. And lastly, I am very excited. We shared a presentation as part of my update. Hopefully you saw it in the packet on the 4-year graduation rates for the class of 24-25. SPCSA school recently finalized their grad rates, and notably, the overall 4-year graduation rate for the SPCSA class of 2025 was 82.6%. The first time in 6 years the SPCSA has been below the state, which was at an 85.4%. However, excluding SPCSA alternative high schools, the SPCSA rate is 95.2%. All but 3 SPCSA schools outperformed the state rate, and 22 schools are projected to earn the full 25 points under the 4-year graduation measure in next year's NSPF star rating. Finally, over half of SPCSA graduates were awarded a more rigorous advanced or college and career ready diploma. Detailed charts and data tables that look at specific subgroups as well as comparison data can be found in the graduation rates attachment to the executive director's report agenda item. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director McAdam. Any questions from board colleagues? Okay, seeing none, we will continue on. Agenda item number 5, the SPCSA revolving loan applications. Over to you, Dr. Broughton.
Yes, thank you. Alpine Academy submitted its revolving loan application on October 15th, 2025. This school is a brick and mortar campus in Washoe County, serving 232 students in grades 9 through 12. After relocating to a new facility in summer of 2024, this is their second year in their current building, during which they are working to increase enrollment toward the facility's capacity of approximately 400 students. The proposed loan would function as a bridge as Alpine Academy grows its student body and corresponding PCFP revenue from roughly 230 students toward full capacity. The school anticipates using about 75% of the loan proceeds to support increased facility and staffing costs, with the remaining funds invested in student recruitment, technology, and instructional materials. SPCSA staff recommends approval of this loan with a couple of conditions, and a proposed motion is included on pages 3 to 4 of the recommendation memo.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. Any questions for staff from board colleagues in the boardroom? Seeing none, any questions from board colleagues online? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Member Holmes Sutton, as I read, I would make the motion to approve the Alpine Academy Loan Fund application for $117,000 with the following conditions. Allow SPCSA staff to work with the school to make budget revisions based on the available balance in the revolving loan account and the number of students enrolled, as long as the total funding does not exceed the lesser of $200,000 or $500 per student enrolled at time of funds disbursement. By January 15th, 2026, submit to SPCSA staff a monthly pro forma budget for each year of repayment, FY27, FY28, and FY29, showing overall cash flow and loan payments. By January 15th, 2026, provide to SPCSA staff credit references from both the private lender, $300,000 principal issued 2025, and landlord, RBK Investments, LLC. By January 15th, 2026, provide a detailed contingency plan identifying potential cost reduction plans such as potential rent abatement and/or reduction and dollar amounts and applicable timing in the event that aggressive enrollment projections do not fully materialize during the loan repayment period. And finally, allow SPCSA staff to work with the school to make budget revisions based on the available balance in the revolving loan account and the number of students enrolled, as long as the total funding does not exceed the lesser of $200,000 or $500 per student enrolled at the time of funds disbursement.
Member Holmes. Thank you, Member Holmes Sutton. Do I have a second?
Member Shanti Rosales will second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving right along, we have agenda item number 6, the Pahrump Valley Academy resubmitted new charter school application. I think this is over to you, Dr. Broughton.
Yes. Members of the authority, item 6 is the new charter application resubmission for Pahrump Valley Academy, referred to as PVA throughout the application in my remarks. The proposed school plans to open in Nye County within the city of Pahrump and serve kindergarten through 5th grade with an initial enrollment of 275 students. The school intends to expand to kindergarten through 8th grade with a total enrollment of 450 students. A complete enrollment chart is provided on page 2 of the memo. After careful review, the review committee recommends approving this application with conditions, and staff concurs with this recommendation, concluding that the applicant has met the requirements outlined in NRS 388A.249. The review committee rated the 4 application sections as follows. Meeting the need, meets the standard. Academic section meets the standard. Operations section meets the standard, and the financial section was rated as approaches the standard. A complete list of ratings for each subsection of the application can be found on page 6 of the memo. I will now offer additional detail regarding staff's recommendation outlining the key findings within each section. My remarks will provide a high-level summary of the information contained in the memo. Following these comments, I would be pleased to respond to any questions regarding the highlighted findings or any elements of the recommendation not specifically addressed in my summary. I'll begin with the meeting the needs section of the application, where the applicant received a meet standard rating across all 3 subsections. In the mission and vision section, Pahrump Valley Academy presents a clear and measurable mission with a vision focused on improving long-term student outcomes well beyond high school. The committee to form articulated strong academic, social, emotional, organizational, and financial goals, demonstrating a comprehensive plan for student success. In the targeted plan subsection, the applicant clearly identified a need for a high-quality education option within the targeted zip codes, where most schools are rated 1 to 2 stars. Data on local academic disparities, in particular for Hispanic students, and national graduation trends support the case for the school. Community feedback gathered during resubmission helped refine the decision to adopt a classical education model which aligns with the priorities expressed by the families. In the parent and community involvement subsection, the committee to form has actively engaged families and community members through town halls, open houses, and local events, generating documented support. The proposal outlines ongoing parent engagement structures and includes plans to remove participation barriers by offering childcare. During resubmission, the applicant further connected community input to the classical education model and how it will serve local students. I will next move to the academic section, which was rated overall as meets the standard, with 6 of the 9 subsections meeting expectations. The transformational change subsection was rated as meets the standard. The applicant presents a strong theory of change aligned with its mission and SPCSA goals, including a commitment to serving historically underserved students. Clarifications during the capacity interview and resubmission process address concerns about after-school programming, competency-based education, and the integration of classical instruction. The curriculum and instructional design subsection was rated as approaches the standard. While the applicant identified standard-aligned curriculum and outlined several instructional strategies, the proposal lacked some clarity on how these approaches will work together to form a cohesive classical education model. Some additional detail was provided during the resubmission process, but questions remain regarding alignment and implementation for special populations in particular. The promotion and graduation requirement subsection was rated as meets the standard. The proposal includes clear multi-tiered promotion criteria across grade bands supported by MTSS, progress monitoring, and decision-making processes. The resubmission strengthened grade band specific requirements and clarified intervention support. In the driving for results subsection, the applicant was rated as approaches the standard. The applicant outlined a comprehensive assessment system, but did not fully detail how the data will be analyzed, stored, or used to guide instructions. Timelines, data cycles, and meeting structures lack some specificity, and no further clarification was provided during the resubmission. In the at-risk students and special populations, the applicant received a rating of meets the standard. This plan includes compliant processes for identifying and supporting students with disabilities, English learners, and McKinney-Vento students. The resubmission added detail on instructional supports, service delivery, professional development, and the continuum of services for students with significant needs. The professional development subsection was rated as approaches the standard. Although coaching structures and some training elements were clarified, the proposal still lacks a full pre-service plan and clear alignment to the classical education model. Key questions remain regarding who will lead trainings, timing, and preparation for special populations, especially again around the classical education model. The school culture subsection was rated as meets the standard. The applicant outlined strong strategies for establishing expectations, reinforcing positive culture, and ensuring equity in areas such as uniforms. The resubmission added detail on cultural walkthroughs which align to core values. The student discipline subsection was rated as meets the standard. The discipline plan aligns with Nevada requirements, incorporates restorative practices, and includes a data-driven approach to monitoring discipline trends and disproportionality. The school calendar and schedule subsection was rated as meets the standard. The calendar and schedule meet statutory requirements and support the academic programming, including daily prep time, embedded PLCs, and flexibility for coaching. Additional clarification was provided regarding middle school scheduling and alignment across subjects. The next section is operations, which was rated overall as meets the standard with 5 of 8 subsections meeting expectations. The board governance subsection was rated as meets the standard. The applicant proposes a clear governance structure with appropriate separation between board oversight and school operations. Advisory bodies will provide meaningful community input, and board members demonstrated strong understanding of the mission and model during the capacity interview. The leadership team subsection was rated as approaches the standard. Roles, responsibility, and evaluation processes are clearly outlined, including the use of a comprehensive leadership tool. However, concerns remain regarding the depth of leadership experience, particularly in improving outcomes for diverse student groups, and no additional clarification was provided during the resubmission. The staffing plan subsection was rated as meets the standard. The staffing model aligns with the school's mission and anticipated student needs. Resubmission additions included a full-time special education teacher and a reading specialist, and these strengthen the application. The proposal emphasizes teacher development and leadership opportunities. The human resources subsection was rated as approaches the standard. The applicant outlined sound recruitment and hiring practices and a competitive compensation structure when compared to the local school district. While core HR processes are identified, greater clarity is needed on the performance management system, specifically how struggling teachers will be supported and evaluated. No resubmission updates address these concerns. And then the student recruitment and enrollment subsection was rated as meets the standard. The applicant provides a clear, accessible enrollment process with multilingual materials and defined lottery procedures. Evidence of demand includes interest from over 100 families, representing roughly 30% of projected enrollment. The incubation year development subsection was rated as approaches the standard. The applicant outlines tasks and timelines for the incubation year with key roles filled by volunteers. However, the plan did lack a dedicated budget and contingency planning, raising concerns about financial feasibility. Additional milestones were included during the resubmission process, but the budget-related concerns remain. The services subsection was rated as meets the standard. This plan includes essential services such as food service, nursing, and transportation, with cost estimates and vendor plan describes. While the overall service framework is sound and staffing capacity and evaluation processes for service effectiveness do require some further clarity. And then the facility subsection was also rated as meets the standard. The applicant describes a reasonable approach to securing a facility following authorization, including a 90-day timeline for finalizing options. Additional details were provided during the resubmission process regarding facility size and alignment to the model. Finally, the financial section was rated as approaches the standard. The financial plan was rated as approaches the standard, reflecting concerns about the accuracy of projections, sufficiency of budget assumptions, and overall financial readiness. While the applicant projects small annual surpluses and plans to use a back office provider, roles and responsibilities between the provider, leadership team, and board remain unclear. The budget also relies on maximum enrollment in year 1 without much contingency planning, and several key expenditures such as transportation, uniforms, and out-of-state recruitment travel lack allocated funds. Food service costs and insurance estimates may be underestimated, and financial controls, segregation of duties, and alignment of roles are not fully defined. Capacity interviews highlighted incomplete expectations of budget line items and unclear funding sources for the incubation year and first year expenses. Most concerns remain unresolved during the resubmission, indicating the need for updated budgets and financial projections during the incubation year to ensure viability. To summarize and underscore the reasons I have outlined this morning, staff is recommending that the authority approve this application with conditions, and a proposed motion can be found on pages 4 to 5 of the memo. The conditions included in the proposed motion address some of the concerns I've highlighted today. I'm happy to take any questions that anyone on this authority board may have.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. Before I bring it back to the board for discussion, I believe we have members from the forming committee for this school online who may want to give some brief remarks.
Dr. Shabel Marandi.
Go ahead.
Member from Valley Academy. If there are any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll bring you back to the board for discussion. Staff has done a really great job of giving us a thorough breakdown of where this applicant is at and a proposed motion. The board can decide which action we want to take moving forward. So any questions either for staff or for the applicant? Member Salcedo, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is more a question for staff. I see in the memo you did an excellent job of kind of showing us, like the chairman said, where we are right now with them. Can you specifically point to what differences or what has changed between now and the last cycle where it was initially rejected?
So I think the easiest way to do that is to look at the resubmitted application itself, which has red lines. So you can kind of see the different sections that have additional language or some language removed. As a high level overview, there was some additional clarity provided around the classical education model, and then some other kind of curricular structures that will play a role in how they work with the classical education model. That was the biggest focus, I would say, in terms of addition to like clarify sort of how that will look, why it will serve the community, while it will serve the students. The incubation year plan in the application narrative itself doesn't include a red line section, but if you look at attachment 17, there's an additional document there that adds some additional milestones and timelines. Those were some of the big changes that we noticed, and then some fewer within the operations section. But again, it's, I think, a little bit easier to see specifically within the actual red line version of the resubmitted application.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from board colleagues, either in person or online? Go ahead, Member Homestead.
Thank you. I appreciate you. My question is for school leadership. Appreciating also the summary from staff. I was inquiring if school leadership could provide any additional information around what supports would be in place for teachers that may be struggling, what that professional learning looks like ongoing, and if need be, as intervention for teachers.
Thank you for your question. Dr. Shabal Marandi, I am the proposed executive director of the school. Among the assets in place to help struggling teachers will be a literacy cadre made up of teachers that will regularly bring to the attention of the school leadership, including the principal and myself, what teachers feel needs to be furthered in their professional development, what they may be struggling in, what they may have come across that they want greater PD in. There will also be regular walkthroughs the building, which will be a part of the daily life of the principal and of myself, to make certain very early on we note things that we may need to one-on-one take up with different teachers, just as some wonderful principals and school leaders have done with us. Our principal is a doctor of curriculum and instruction. My own doctorate is in cognition and instruction. And we both are very committed to regularly keeping up with the research and what is happening in our profession so that we may be there for our teachers. There will also, both of us will be available to all teachers for regular one-on-ones that they will initiate if they want to, that they will take ownership of, and let us know what it is that they want to further in their professional development. Does that somewhat answer?
It does somewhat answer, and yet, if I may, I'd like to extend my inquiry, noting that I am a classroom teacher myself and also have my doctorate in education. And we aren't always vulnerable to initiate those conversations that need to be had. And we also don't know what it is that we most need, particularly if we are novice educators who are struggling. I don't know that myself and or my colleagues would willingly come forward and say, this is where I am. And by that point, they may be struggling even more so with challenges than need be. So my question, if I may persist, is asking, what does it look like as you identify that? Appreciating the walkthroughs, but knowing that additional inquiry, observation, and evaluation is needed to ensure that the teachers are set up for success, particularly as I think about some of the public comment that was shared earlier with the impact to the school, the community, the families, and the students. And if you would, as you reflect and provide additional context, could you share if you've identified a specific assessment tool that will be utilized to evaluate and support teaching colleagues in the school?
So Charlotte Danielson was the tool that was chosen. You are absolutely right. And I think that's why we emphasize the walkthroughs as being so important for the principal and myself to have a very clear idea of where every teacher is regularly, not just on specific days when they may be evaluated, but on daily basis. How are things moving forward for each of them on daily basis so that we make ourselves available to them for greater discussions and help. We will make the informal evaluation very much a part of the school culture, including for ourselves, regularly having conversations and asking others how they feel we may further improve ourselves. We will hold ourselves, the adults in the building, to those highest learning standards that we are going to hold our students to. And again, the thing that I, as a teacher, found most helpful, like yourself, I am a classroom teacher, and I hope the very last year of my career will again be spent in my favorite job as a classroom teacher. I'm also a school counselor. I have, and now a school principal. In every capacity, I have found the regular walkthroughs of school leaders and others, including board members, district board members, walkthroughs in our building, to have been very helpful to me, and their feedback to have been very helpful to me. We hope to provide the same asset to our teachers, which for us very much begins also with creating relationships with every single one of them that create that safe environment for them where feedback may be welcome, where feedback is an asset rather than harsh criticism, and where they can come to us. We want our students to be able to go to them and tell them what they think they need, advocate for themselves. By the same token, we are going to work to create relationships with our teachers, with our staff members, so that they may advocate for themselves. And this will be very clearly stated from the beginning that we want them to advocate for themselves. And sometimes one of the things I learned as a counselor was it was so important for me as a leader to provide the safe environment and let the other party know it's okay if you don't know what it is that you want to discuss. That's what I'm here for. Let's start the conversation, and between the two of us, I'll try to get you to the place where you will figure it out. Then tell me, because I'm here to provide support for you. I am here to support you.
I appreciate your wealth of experience as well as your passion that you're displaying. In that same vein, may I ask if you have considered or are planning to implement a measure of mentorship amongst the teachers so that they may be supported by one another in addition to being supported by administration?
Most definitely, most definitely. One of the ways that we will be doing this is we will be looking for areas where teachers may be of assistance to each other. I know there were standards, there were learning standards that I could not get through sometimes, and then there were those that I could really get through. And it was true for other teachers, and sometimes what I could not get through by observing another classroom teacher, I could figure out, oh, that's how you do that one. And we were able, and that's what, when we mentioned a literacy cadre that would be made up of our teachers, that would be the purpose of it. Teachers can very much prove to be assets to each other. I know I have tried to be there for other teachers, but so many of them were there for me, and I was able to learn from them, just like peer tutoring among students. And yes, that is something we will definitely count on, rely on, and instill in our school culture, and have specific moments committed to it in our professional development.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Chair, may I ask another question?
Let me, Vice Chair Whitaker has a question, and we'll bring it back to you, Member Holmstead, if that's all right.
Of course. Thank you.
Yes, I just really quickly wanted to ask where you are located.
I myself or the school?
Yeah, you yourself.
I will be located in Pahrump. At this moment, I am in the Arctic, and it is nighttime. That's what you see behind me. It is the long Arctic night currently.
Okay, so you will be relocating to Pahrump.
Yes, I was in Pahrump a few days ago. I will be in Pahrump again this Tuesday. I come and go back and forth, but my home is in Pahrump. I am a long-time resident of Pahrump, own a home there and live there.
Okay.
It is my community, very much so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Holmstead, let me see if anyone else has any questions before I bring it back to you.
Absolutely.
Seeing none at the moment. Go ahead, Member Holmstead.
I appreciate you. I believe that this question may be for staff, and I recognize that you've already called for those, so I appreciate your grace. The inquiry is around the finances and whether or not additional support and or what that additional support will look like for the school. Just again, reflecting on the challenges that we've had with other school communities and with the finances, wanting to know if there was additional information that could be shared around ensuring that the school is well positioned to be successful.
Thank you, Katie Broughton here for the record. One of the challenges with reviewing this application was the lack of an incubation year budget. And I think that's one of the challenges generally with the new charter school application is a lot of our new schools as they're opening rely on CSP dollars, but they can't get CSP dollars. They can't be approved for them until they've been approved for a charter application, and they can't be approved for a charter application with a financial plan that shows CSP dollars if they don't have them. So it's sort of this like really challenging cycle that a lot of schools are trying to deal with because they can't include dollars until they're approved, but they can't be approved for dollars until they're approved to have an application. So that being said, it can be challenging to really get a sense of the incubation year financial plan. And I would say for this school, we needed some additional information around that, which is why we made that a condition, is that we need a clearer picture of the finances for the incubation year. And then I think to address your further question of some of the financial concerns that some of our schools are generally experiencing, one of the reasons that we've implemented the enrollment target as a requirement for opening is that we're trying essentially to prevent schools from opening if they're going to be under enrolled, because we know that when schools open at really, really low levels of enrollment, it's a really hard hole to sort of dig yourself out of. So you'll notice one of the conditions is that the school has to have 200 and I forget the number off the top of my head, but it's listed there in the conditions, but it's maybe like 220 or somewhere students enrolled at the end of the enrollment audit in June. So once that enrollment audit is over, that's the number of students that they're funded on for the first quarter. So it's up to the school to really show that they've done their, due diligence. They're able to serve their community in such a way that students and families actually enroll in the school. And they do have to meet that enrollment number in order to actually open. And we believe that having a clearer picture on the incubation year budget, plus essentially confirmation that the school won't open under enrolled, sets the school up for the best financial future that they can possibly be set up for when they actually open their doors.
I appreciate you. Along that line, may I ask a question of school leadership again, Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
That is looking at the narrative that's been provided by staff with the allocation for food services and yet not yet having a provider identified. Has that been rectified? Is there an identified provider who notes that they are able to accommodate food provision for the students at the budgeted allocation?
We have discussed it with one potential provider who is local to Pahrump. We are still working on making certain we have furthered our exploration so that we may provide the best option for the school. But we have been able to get one reasonable quote from a local provider. Working locally is very important to us, while we balance it with providing the best for the school, of course.
Likewise, similarly, is that the same for also the uniforms and the low-cost transportation that is noted in the narrative? Just noting again in the summary that no specific budget line had been designated for the uniforms, with that being anticipated through private fundraising, and no budget line for the low-cost transportation for families in need. Could you share a bit more with regards to details for those two?
Yes, they are both items on which we are actively working. There are two groups who have kind of informally started forming to assist us with this from the local population, which we greatly appreciate. They are issues that we are currently working on. We have also put them on the table for the CSMC, which will be the back office provider we will be working with, to advise us, direct us, and make us privy to their experience and knowledge in the field, as they have had to address the issue for other schools in Nevada.
I appreciate you. Chair, thank you for allowing me my additional questions.
Thank you, Member Holmes-Sutton. We appreciate you. Bringing it back to the board, colleagues online and in person, any other thoughts or questions for staff or for the school or the application leadership? Oh, I see Mr. Member Salcedo. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Chair. This is the last one, hopefully for me, at least for staff. Just the conditions. If we approve, I don't know if this is a question for legal counsel or for who on staff, but if if we approve the proposed recommended motion with the conditions, if one of those conditions is not met, for example, someone, I believe staff highlighted that 223 students enrolled by the enrollment audit date in June. If for whatever reason, hypothetically, they do not meet that condition, for example, do they have to come back to us because it was proposed and motioned with those conditions? So in other words, if they fail any of these conditions, is the approval removed? Do they have the ability to wait and postpone? How does that work if they fail to meet one of the conditions?
Samantha King Powell, General Counsel of the SPCSA, for the record. It's up to the executive director's discretion should they fail to meet any of these requirements.
Melissa Mackinnon for the record. I'll just add on to that, Member Salcido. It is our practice that we do give schools one deferment. So, they are having a truncated timeline being approved now versus back in August when other new schools. So if for some reason they don't meet those, like I think a good example is the enrollment target, we would allow them to defer for a year. But then after that, let's say, in the second year, they didn't meet them, then it doesn't come back before the board. It would just be based on executive director discretion, like Ms. King Powell said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Salcido. Any other thoughts, questions from board colleagues? I will take some privilege to make some comments of my own. I appreciate the time that staff has put into the recommendation and the conditions, but I think I'm sitting in a place where I feel like this applicant may not be quite ready yet. I think the financial pieces, especially given what we heard earlier from other folks in public comment about catching things earlier on, it's not really sitting well with me. And I feel like if we give approval to something where at least the financials don't immediately meet standards for an applicant, I just feel like we're setting a bad precedent. And that's, even though I'm the chair, I'm just one board member. That's where I'm sitting with this. So me personally, I don't think I will vote to approve, but the board can take whatever action it feels necessary. So with that said, I'm looking for motion in any direction. Sorry, did I miss something on screen? Someone have their hand raised?
Oh, just a quick comment, if I could, Mr.
Go
Chair.
ahead.
I appreciate where you're coming from on this. I guess where I have the same concern, but I think I'm comforted by some of the conditions that would be included to kind of protect against that. But I totally understand where you're coming from. It's just kind of, again, where I am at is I have the same concern, but I'm hopeful that with the conditions as placed, it would address some of those concerns. And so if they were to meet those conditions, I think they would be in good footing. But I get where you're coming from.
Thank you, Member Salcido. And I think to add to my comments, as well as, and I do trust our staff to keep an eye on things, of course, but I think we've seen as well what happens when things don't meet standards. I think I just feel more comfortable when an applicant do meet standards, especially for the financial pieces. And I think there's a lot of unknowns still here that Member Holmes Sutton identified as well in her earlier commentary. And I think it's also important that the school leader lives in the area full time. I think there's a lot of concerns that I have with this application that it's just not quite ready yet. And it's a lot of work to get a school off the ground, as we've seen for a lot of schools. And so I don't feel confident in voting just me as one board member voting to approve and knowing the work that's involved when there's still so much that should have been identified to meet expectations at this point. But again, the board can choose to move forward however it sees fit. And I am still looking for a motion either way. Thank you.
Chair, I believe that Member Stern has her hand raised.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Member Stern. I'm still getting used to this new system and seeing the little hand emoji. Go ahead.
That's okay. Member Stern, for the record. I wanted to add on the record before we vote that I do share those concerns. And I did have a question or clarifying question for staff, appreciating all the work that the school has done to resubmit their application. For clarification purposes, if the board does choose not to approve the application, there's nothing to prevent the school from applying and again in the next cycle and correcting the errors that we're currently seeing with respect to the current application, or does staff believe that those errors would persist given what was shared with respect to the challenges around the grant? So I would appreciate hearing something to that effect.
Katie Broughton, for the record. I'll be honest, we don't have a perfect answer for the CSP piece of it. We are working on a new financial plan workbook for our new applications, which we hope will just generally strengthen the picture of both the incubation year and first charter term finances for the applicant, for the review team, and for the board. That will hopefully be, well, it will be done for the new application cycle in 2026. There is nothing, though, that would prevent this school from resubmitting should the board vote not to approve this application. The resubmission or the process, the new charter application process for 2026 kicks off in January. And then any school approved in that window will be eligible to open in the fall of 2027.
Member Stone, for the record, I appreciate that clarification. And again, understanding the challenges around the financial circumstances of the CSP grant, but also acknowledging the concerns raised by Member Holmes Sutton regarding the academic portion and the plan. And I will also share and comment that in listening to the school's response to Member Holmes Sutton, and in looking at the school's mission, vision, and values, I would have hoped to hear a little bit more about that being grounded, the plan for staff being grounded in the school's mission, vision, and values. And I will say that it was a bit difficult to hear the vision for staff and support in that, aligning with what the school's mission, vision, and values were for students. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Stern. Any other questions or thoughts from board colleagues? Ms. Miranda, we'll call on you if they have questions.
May I?
No, we will call on you if our board colleagues have questions. Thank you.
Member Holmes Sutton, if I may, my apologies. Moving quickly to unmute and not to fix the camera. I believe that this question has been answered, and yet if I may ask again of staff, we're looking at an opportunity to have the school be approved with these conditions and acknowledging if these conditions are not met, that the school would then need to consider reapplying in the next cycle. Is that correct?
Yes. If the conditions are not met, the discretion to determine that lives with the executive director. And we would work with the school to determine if they want to defer for 1 year and be eligible to be open in fall 2027 without reapplying, or they could decide we're not going to move forward with this current version, and then they could reapply if they wanted to, have a significant change to their model or something along those lines.
I appreciate you. That clarity is helpful for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Holmes Sutton. Any other questions, comments from board colleagues?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, one more, if you could.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And then thank you for the grace and allowing me another question. Just for the school leader, I saw you had your hand raised, and I think it coincided with a comment. Just to clarify, you live in Pahrump, Nevada, correct?
I do, and I will be in the school on daily basis.
Thank you.
I do live in Pahrump. I am currently not there. Should the school be authorized, I will be living 24/7 in Pahrump.
Thank you.
In my home in Pahrump. And that is what I wanted to clarify.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments from board colleagues? Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
Member Homestead, I'm prepared to make that motion, given the grace to read from the document. I would make the motion to approve the Pahrump Valley Academy application as submitted during the 2025 application cycle with the conditions as permitted by NAC 388A.410 and as outlined below based on a finding that the applicant has met the requirements contained in NRS 388A.2493 and that the applicant has demonstrated competence in accordance with the criteria for approval prescribed by the SPCSA that will likely result in a successful opening and operation of the charter school. Noting, 1, by February 1st, 2026, provide evidence that the school has secured a formal partnership with a high-quality classical education partner capable of supporting the faithful implementation of a strong classical education model. 2, by February 1st, 2026, submit a revised incubation year budget that clearly reflects all anticipated expenses and is balanced and supported by documentation of any grant, fundraising, or private revenue. Additionally, submit a detailed 3-year financial forecast for the first 3 years of the charter contract, FY 2027, FY 2028, and FY 2029, that includes enrollment projections, revenue, expenses, and ending fund balances. By March 15, 2026, submit a revised professional development plan that includes staff training in the classical education model delivered by the selected classical education partner. By June 1st, 2026, submit a fully executed lease for a facility that will meet the needs of the school for the 2026-2027 school year, located in the 89041, 89048, 89060, or 89061 zip codes. At the conclusion of the new school enrollment audit in June 2026, provide evidence that Pahrump Valley Academy has at least 223 students enrolled for the 2026-2027 school year. By June 8, 2026, submit a board-approved final budget that includes revenue based on the fully enrolled student count at the time of board approval and accurately incorporates expenses for the identified facility. And lastly, complete the SPCSA pre-opening process for new charter schools, which includes meeting document submission deadlines as required by SPCSA staff participating in the meeting trainings and attending monthly meetings. Pursuant to NAC 388A.410, all conditions set forth above must be met for the school to open for the 2026-2027 school year.
Thank you, Member Homestead, and take a deep breath after that one.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Member Salcido.
Thank you, Member Salcido. For the vote, we're actually going to take a roll call vote on this one to get an accurate vote. Teresa, if you wouldn't mind helping with that.
Chair Thigpen?
No.
Vice Chair Whitaker?
Yes.
Member Dr. Aldaba?
No.
Member Dr. Holmes-Sutton?
Yes.
Member Richards?
Yes.
Member Salcido?
Yes.
Member Shante Rosales?
Yes.
Member Stern?
No.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-3. Thank you very much. All right. Do we need to take a small convenience break? Maybe for 5 minutes? Okay. We'll take 5 minutes. Come back at 10:21 if my math is mathing. Thank you. All right, I think we'll get started. It's 10:21. We're returning from our brief break, and we'll go into agenda item number 7, charter school contract amendment applications. Over to you, Mr. Peltier.
Thank you, Chair Thigpen. Nevada Rise has submitted an application requesting that the State Public Charter School Authority grant a good cause exemption and approve the request to relocate to a new facility that will not affect the approved enrollment cap. The school serves K through 5 and had 362 students enrolled as of the 2025 validation day. According to the amendment application, Nevada Rise has spent the last 8 years operating out of a leased facility on an active church campus. The current facility has constraints that have limited the school, including not being large enough for the school to fully enroll up to its cap and inadequate classroom space to fully implement the academic model. Nevada Rise is requesting to move to a permanent facility located at 2101 East Owens Avenue in the 89030 zip code. The proposed facility used to house a different charter school, which will help expedite the move. According to the amendment application, the new location is 5 miles north of the current campus and will continue to serve in a high-need area of Las Vegas and North Las Vegas. Nevada Rise explained in the amendment application that to avoid disruption and prevent sharing information before details are finalized, Nevada Rise has not formally communicated the potential relocation to students or families, but they have had broader conversations with families, and those families have expressed a lot of enthusiasm to move into a bigger and better facility. Nevada Rise did note in the amendment application that there will be impacts to the school's budget during the relocation. Nevada Rise explained that they will use cash reserves, financing from the Nevada Facility Fund, and the ability to apply for a portion of the charter school program grant to ensure financial stability. Additionally, Nevada Rise expects the relocation will strengthen the long-term financial position of the school due to more consistent facility payments, since the lease they are currently in can be unpredictable year over year. And a steady increase in enrollment due to the additional space the new facility will offer will also provide more financial stability. Regarding this amendment request, SPCSA staff is recommending approval, but does have some continued concerns regarding the overall financial viability of the plan if Nevada Rise is unable to meet its expected revenue that was included as part of the amendment application. For example, SPCSA staff have concerns with enrollment projections beyond year 2 of the proposed budget for 2 reasons. The first is that recent trends across all charter schools in Clark County have been lower than expected enrollment, which have negatively affected schools' finances. While Nevada Rise does have a modest wait list, there is no guarantee the school will increase enrollment to the levels that are included in this budget. The second concern regarding the enrollment is that Nevada Rise projects enrollment that will be above the currently approved cap beginning in year 3. Nevada Rise currently has a 2-star rating and would need to show sustained 3-star rating or above to qualify for an increase in enrollment. SPCSA staff does also have some lingering concerns regarding the projected revenue from special population. The school predicts increases in the special education, at-risk, and ELL funding that may be overly optimistic. SPCSA staff did meet with Nevada Rise and discuss these concerns. Nevada Rise was able to provide some additional information that provided context around the proposed budget and rationale for some of the revenue assumptions. Overall, SPCSA staff finds the rationale for the relocation to be reasonable. Even with a tight budget, the current facility situation for Nevada Rise is untenable, and this new facility is the best option for students, families, and staff at the school. Nevada Rise has been operating for several years and has built a strong community at its school, and that community deserves a facility that will allow the school to fully implement its academic model and provide a permanent location where students can be allowed to thrive. A proposed motion can be found on page 3 of your recommendation memo. I'm happy to take any questions, and I believe we do have some representatives from Nevada Rise also in attendance who may be able to speak to anything that the board has questions on for them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Peltier. All right, bringing it back to the board. Any questions for staff or for leaders of the school? I'm looking online, not seeing anyone. Okay. Oh, there you are. Member Stern, go ahead.
Member Stern, for the record, thank you. This is either for staff or for the school, whoever can answer it. I know there was mention of enthusiasm from the families if transportation continues to be provided. If I recall correctly, the school bought a bus this year. Is that correct? No? Or what transportation? I guess my question is what transportation is being provided, and I'm looking at the budget and just trying to understand like where that fits in with what the change would be or the impact to the budget for the school.
Hi, Justin Brecht, Executive Director for the record. We currently contract with Formative, but we do not own the bus. We have one bus route and hope to expand that to 2 routes to meet the needs of the families that we hope to keep.
Member Stone, for the record, thank you. I appreciate that clarification. And so my follow-up question to that, given that this has not been communicated to the families yet, is what is that timeline and plan for communication should this move be approved? And well, I'll let you answer that question before I ask my follow-up.
Sure. Again, Justin Brecht for the record. If all passes, we hope to take ownership of this building in mid-January, and that gives us a 6-month runway before the next school year to really bring our current families to the campus, explain how we can continue to have them go there. It's just a 5-mile drive down Eastern Avenue, and we will launch a full campaign to invest our families, communicate fully what this means, and work out all those transition details in that 5 to 6 month runway.
Member Stern, for the record, just one final follow-up on this. Understanding that it's just 5 miles, but also that it's 5 miles, and that can be significant for families who, for various reasons, and understanding the challenges surrounding enrollment. What is the plan, if any, that currently exists for ensuring that you're able to meet the enrollment needs to maintain financial viability for the school should we approve this move?
Yes, one of the covenants in the Equitable Facilities Fund lease will have a requirement for us to consult with an enrollment firm and get extra help. And also, this is the former home of Battleborn Academy, and we are working with former staff members from Battleborn to capture those families as well to help fill the enrollment gaps.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Stern. Any other questions from board colleagues? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Member Richards, I'll make the motion. Grant the good cause exemption request and approve Nevada Rise request to relocate to 2101 East Owens Avenue beginning in the 26-27 school year with the following condition: that the school complete the SPCSA pre-opening process for new schools and campuses for occupation of the new facility space.
Member Homestead, and I would second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and thank you. All right, now we've reached the part in the agenda where things are going to bounce around a little bit. So if you think I'm losing it, you'd be right, but I know what I'm doing. We're going to go into agenda item 8, and then we'll do 10, 15E, and 16 so that my board colleagues can follow along. So agenda item number 8, Academies of Math and Science. We'll bring it over to Director McAdin.
All right. Well, before I get started, I know there's a few representatives from AMS here, so you guys can come up here so you're ready to go once I'm done, should anyone have any questions. The SPCSA issued a request for qualifications, or RFQ, for high-performing charter school operators interested in restart work in accordance with Nevada Revised Statute 388A.300. The RFQ was issued August 1st, 2025, with submissions due September 15th. The RFQ intended to identify capable charter school operators with proven track records in improving academic outcomes, effective school management, and compliance with applicable state and federal law. SPCSA created a two-phase process and intentionally set a very high standard for eligibility. Specifically, the operators had to have demonstrated academic success in at least 2 states, have 5 years worth of data in at least one of those states. The majority of their schools had to meet or exceed their state's equivalent of the Nevada School Performance Framework, and they had to be in good standing with all authorizers. Due to the nature of this work, it was critical to set this very high bar. The SPCSA had 3 applicants, only one of whom met those qualifications. All applicants were notified of their standing, and the Academies of Math and Science, or AMS, was the candidate who moved forward into the Phase 2 application. AMS, that's what I'm going to call them because it's easier, completed the Phase 2 application, which is included in your board materials. SPCSA staff evaluated the application in the following categories: experience and track record, academic plan, operational readiness, and transition capacity, financial capacity and compliance, community engagement, and finally, capacity and authorizer interviews. A sample rubric was also included with the RFQ and can be found in the board materials. AMS was notified of the results in late November. That memo is also a part of the board materials. Following that evaluation, the staff is recommending approval of the Academies of Math and Science, or AMS, as a proven provider in the state of Nevada. Before we get to the official motion, I would like to take this opportunity to share a little bit about AMS and the results of our overview. Founded in 2002, the Academies of Math and Science is one of Arizona's longest-serving, most successful K charter school networks. As a network, AMS exclusively opens and operates schools in economically disadvantaged communities with a demonstrated need for a quality community school. AMS flagship school first opened in 2002 with just 30 students, and the network has since expanded due to community demand. They recently opened their first school in Arkansas, AMS Little Rock, and now serve over 9,000 students across 10 schools in the 2 states, with an average of 80% of students qualifying for free and reduced price lunch. Since 2002, AMS schools have provided reliable, fiscally sound, and academically rigorous community schools to thousands of students and families. Over the past 3 school years, AMS has received 28 total state accountability letter grades, 24 of which were A or B. The AMS academic plan includes an ambitious but feasible 3-year improvement plan grounded in data and supported by past success in Arizona and Arkansas. The school uses a research-based instructional model integrating the science of reading, structured literacy, and deep conceptual math instruction. It presents a clear mechanism for improvement, including MTSS, progress monitoring, structured data cycles, and quarterly academic checkpoints. The school provided a comprehensive phased transition plan addressing governance handoff, student family engagement, staffing, record transfer, cultural reset, and facility readiness, along with a transparent and compliant staffing plan that thoughtfully addresses the treatment of existing staff. AMS provided a clean audit history and evidence of long-term fiscal stability across its multi-state network. It has a sustainable funding model supported by demonstrated enrollment strength in new and turnaround campuses. AMS has a robust, culturally responsive plan for Nevada restart communities, including family forums, bilingual communication strategies, and partnership development. A strong record of meaningful engagement in Arizona and Arkansas backs this plan. Lastly, SPCSA staff conducted interviews with both the AMS team and their current authorizers. During the applicant team interview, they demonstrated a clear understanding of educational strategy, charter school operations, the educational landscape in Nevada, particularly around teacher shortages, and charter school finance. Both Arizona and Arkansas had no significant concerns around academics, finances, or operations. Arizona specifically noted AMS's commitment and results with at-risk students. With that, I will pause and tell you that both myself and members of the AMS team are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Director McAdin. And I'm struggling to find the approval recommendation on the websites. Somebody can help me.
Chair Thigpen, council is working on that.
So TBD. All right, well, we'll go to questions then. Any questions from board colleagues or staff or for the folks at AMS who are here? Member Stern, go ahead. It caught you this time.
Okay, there we go. Member Stern, for the record, this question is for the folks from AMS. I am curious why Nevada, why you're interested in coming to our state.
Eric Greenberg, CEO AMS. That's a really good question. Back, I would say about 4 years ago, once we had about 9 schools, served 8,000 kids in Arizona, we started the process of doing a nationwide really assessment of states in need and going through the process of looking at where are communities that are in need of a high quality education. We felt very passionately about the results that we had demonstrated in Arizona, and with the mission that we have in our organization to serve communities and build community-based schools, felt the need to take our program and give it to more communities. That started our process of evaluating some states and choosing Arkansas as the first location to go. Meanwhile, doing a lot of research in Nevada and seeing a demonstrated need, specifically in Clark County, for better results. We had, over the last year, been working with SPCSA staff on opening an application to come here on a new application cycle. And that has led us to really do a lot of research, understand the need that the state of Nevada has, but particularly around how we can meet that need and how we can adopt our program to the community here. And so it's purely a mission-based decision of ours to serve both staff and communities. We have a very specific and direct vision of providing the best education and the best environment, and that is for both staff and students, with the primary concern of ours to build and maintain community-based schools.
Member Stern, for the record, thank you. I appreciate that broader context for understanding your interest. If you could speak a little bit more, you were talking about how you might adapt things to the unique needs of Nevada and our staff and students here. If you wouldn't mind sharing, for the record, a little bit more about how you see your model being suited to meeting those needs and supporting our families, students, and the staff as well in our state who might avail themselves of your support.
Sure, Eric Greenberg. I'll answer and then I'll turn it over to my colleague, Brandy. The first thing I'd say to that is understanding the teaching market. We all know what has happened with the market since the pandemic and the need for quality educators. Gone are the days where people are coming out of college demanding to or wanting to be teachers. Gone are the days of a very rich supply of certified teachers. So number one is understanding the teaching market and the gaps with the skills, both the tangible and intangible skills of teaching, and how we can help provide and fill those gaps. One of our main priorities is the learning and development of our staff. And so we have a lot of programs, a lot of mechanisms, modules, training, professional development, so that we can get staff up to speed and help them feel confident that they have the tools and resources to effectively teach. The second one of that is looking specifically at the demographics and the scoring, the test scores, the assessments within that demographic, and what are the gaps? Is it a strong math gap? Is it a strong reading gap? How can we then go in and fill that gap? One thing that we take very seriously is really understanding the families we serve. And so, as you can imagine, the families in in kind of the Metro Phoenix area are very different than the families in Arkansas. And so we spend a lot of time in the community, building community partnerships, engaging with community. We do a ton of events. We do a lot of family events so that we can understand the community we're serving, so that we can match the board with the staff to serve the community. You have anything to add to that?
Brandy Adams, COO. And I just want to add to Eric's comments, primarily when looking at state test scores, demographic data, et cetera. The Las Vegas area very closely mirrors the Phoenix area, especially the areas that we serve. And what we like to be very proud of as an organization is that, unlike a lot of large charter organizations, we explicitly go into areas that have need and maybe are a little bit tougher to serve, but we like to do hard things, and we would like to just bring that extra service, I guess, to the area. I also, in a previous role, had experience operating charter schools in the Nevada area and spent a few years doing so, and became very familiar with the student and parent body that is here. And I just see a connection between the families that are here, the needs that are here, and what we do in the Phoenix and Tucson area right now. So we just feel like we'd be a great fit, Courtney.
Thank you, Member Stern. Go ahead.
Can I ask one more question, Chair
Yes.
Thigpen? One more follow-up for the AMS team. I know that you mentioned the expansion, and I am curious, understanding that you've had success, but also understanding that with expansion can sometimes come thinning of resources and overextension. So I am curious whether you have plans or are looking to expand into other states, or if Nevada is your current step and you plan to establish here. What is your timeline for branching out, if any?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Eric Greenberg. One of the keys for success that we see in not just a charter school, but a network of charter schools is that group effort, if you will. And so one of the things we look at is wherever we are going, is there a demonstrated need for at least 3 schools? And then we look and do demographic studies, because what we don't want to do is set up a school for financial failure, primarily stemming from enrollment. And so looking at, we have developed kind of an in-house way of evaluating a market to see how many students it could enroll based on our experience with the 10 other schools that we have. And so for us, it's going into a market, there's a very strong commitment to serve that market long-term. And so part of that is the need for us to not just have a single school, because there's some dangers, if you will, that we see. We think that the schools can be more successful when there's a small network to support them. There's some safety there and a little bit of numbers. And so as we've looked into Nevada and had begun the process of completing the application, it's looking at, there is a demonstrated need and a path to at least 3 schools. Part of that for us is to ensure that level of success is we need a team on the ground. And so part of our organization will be hiring additional staff network staff, back office staff, if you will, CMO staff that will be living and operating in Nevada to support the schools here.
Thank you.
Before we take more board questions, I'll bring it back to legal counsel, who will read the staff's recommended motion for us.
This is Senior Deputy Attorney General Todd Weiss. The motion we are going to be looking for here is a motion to designate AMS as a proven provider pursuant to NAC 388A 270.
And if you can't remember that verbatim, you can throw out a good "so moved" or "that was a favorite of mine" back in the day.
Yeah.
So if there is a motion that wants to be made, you can do so now, or we can continue having discussion.
Member Shanti Rosales will say so moved.
I like it. Do I have a second?
Board Member Aldava, I second.
Any further discussion before we take a vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Good job, council. All right, now that closes out agenda item 8. We will open up agenda item number 10. Nevada Prep Charter School. And this goes to, I think, Dr. Broughton first.
Yes, thank you. Agenda item 10 is a carryover from the November meeting in which we reviewed the academic performance of all of the charter schools in the portfolio. Academic performance in this case refers to both the NSPF or Nevada School Performance Framework and the SPCSA's Academic Performance Framework. Nevada Prep Charter School received an academic notice of concern for their elementary and middle school performance in the 2023-2024 school year. For the 2024-2025 school year, both the elementary and middle school received a second consecutive 1-star NSPF rating. The elementary school was rated below standard on the SPCSA Academic Performance Framework, and the middle school was rated as does not meet standard. Based on this academic performance, the SPCSA staff recommends elevating the academic notice of concern to a notice of breach for both campuses. It is also critical to note that NRS 388A.300 requires the SPCSA to terminate the charter contract of a school that receives 3 consecutive 1-star NSPF ratings. Should the elementary and or middle school levels receive a 1-star rating in the 2025-2026 school year and not meet any of the additional exemption criteria that was established by SB 460 in the 2025 legislative session, the charter contract must be terminated for the applicable grades. A proposed motion can be found at the end of the recommendation memo. I believe it's on page 2 or 3.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. And I believe we have representatives from the school in the room. Should you choose to do so, you have 5 minutes of comment if you want to make any. Just be sure to state your name for the record, and you'll press that little button at the base of the mic to turn it on.
Andrew Scott for the record with Nevada Prep. We thank you for the opportunity to address our academics, but our most important priority, we have a few pertinent remarks, but I'd like to save them for my brief presentation on item 15E.
Make sure the mic is moved over. Thank you.
I'll save those comments for 15E. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time, but otherwise the school will waive its time.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll bring it back to the board. Any questions for staff or for leaders of the school on agenda item number 10? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
Dr. Aldava, I move to elevate the academic notices of concern for Nevada Prep Charter Schools, elementary and middle school, to academic notices of breach for the 2024-2025 school year.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Vice Chair Whitaker will second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, that closes out agenda item number 10, and now we're going to open up 15E for Nevada Prep Charter School under the charter school contract renewal applications. This will go to Director McAdam first.
Thank you, Chair Thigpen. Before Dr. Broughton begins her report, I want to pause and just assure anyone that is watching this meeting online, sitting in this room today, that while staff are recommending a non-renewal, it is our intent to invite AMS, who you just approved as a proven provider, to submit a plan specific to the restart of Nevada Prep beginning next school year. What this means practically for the families who may be listening or the teachers who may be listening is that the students currently at Nevada Prep will be able to stay at their school going forward under a new operator. While it is important for the record to outline the non-renewal decision, please know that the SPCSA is forward-looking and our focus is on the successful transition of this school with a lot of optimism for what the future holds. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Broughton.
All right, agenda item 15E is the charter contract renewal of Nevada Prep. Nevada Preparatory Charter School, referred to as Nevada Prep through these remarks, submitted an application to renew the charter contract as their current charter contract expires on June 30th, 2026. Nevada Prep is a brick and mortar public charter school that currently serves 416 students in kindergarten through 8th grade on one campus in Clark County. The Nevada Prep renewal application identifies the mission of the school. The mission of the upcoming charter term is to empower students from all backgrounds to achieve academic excellence, personal growth, and civic engagement through a rigorous, inclusive, and values-driven education. The key design elements of the school include a college prep model, character and culture framework, equity and inclusion, data-driven instruction, family and community engagement, and technology integration. During the review of the renewal application, SPCSA staff did note that the application contained references to programmatic elements that the school is not currently authorized to offer, which did raise some concerns about the accuracy and reliability of the information submitted in the application. This was specifically related to distance education, dual enrollment, and oversight of charter management organizations, or CMOs, and educational management organizations. None of these elements are currently approved for Nevada Prep, and it was unclear as to whether these inclusions stem from fundamental misunderstanding of the scope of the authorized charter contract or a misrepresentation of operations. Academically, both the elementary and middle school campuses received a 1-star rating on the Nevada School Performance Framework for 2023-2024 and 2024-2025. They were both just approved to have a notice of breach on the academic framework, and that does put both campuses at risk of meeting mandatory closure provisions outlined in NRS 388A.300 at the conclusion of the 2025-2026 school year. Financially, heightened monitoring following the FY 2024 financial performance framework results has revealed ongoing and significant financial concerns. The school has reported a negative ending fund balance each year since fiscal year 2023, with deficits continuing to deepen. The FY 2024 reflected a temporary improvement, which was driven by one-time COVID relief funds rather than sustainable financial operations. The governing board of Nevada Prep recently approved an amended budget for FY 2026, which again projects a negative ending fund balance, indicating an inability to produce a balanced budget at this time. At the same time, the school continues to carry substantial debt with more than $1 million owed to vendors, PERS, and lease obligations, and nearly $19 million in total liabilities that have not meaningfully declined over the past 3 fiscal years, raising concerns about financial stability. Compounding these challenges, the school is not complying with their own financial policies or board-approved budgeting procedures. Additionally, the school has been cited for numerous violations following a recent state review of their nutrition programs. These findings require over $200,000 in reimbursements and fiscal actions, and have resulted in the withholding of future reimbursements until corrective actions are completed. This introduced additional liabilities that may or may not be reflected in the current debt schedule or clearly incorporated into the amended budget. Organizationally, Nevada Prep has received ratings that consistently indicate deficiencies in organizational health and performance. As a result, the school was issued a notice of concern under the Organizational Performance Framework for both the 2022 to 2023 and 2024 to 2025 school years. Nevada Prep Charter School has consistently not met academic, organizational, or financial standards set by the state and the SPCSA. And as such, SPCSA staff does recommend the authority deny the renewal request for Nevada Prep Charter School, and a proposed motion can be found on page 6 of the recommendation memo.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. Any other comments from staff? Okay, just double checking. All right, and we do have school leadership here to provide commentary, so go right ahead.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Mark Gardberg, legal counsel to the outgoing board of directors. There is a new administration, and that's Mr. Scott, and he'll speak in a moment. I'm here to convey the remarks of the board whose role is presumptively ending today. So these are their parting thoughts. Your staff, as you just heard, is asking you to approve the non-renewal of Nevada Prep and eventually to support its transition to the Academies of Math and Sciences, or AMS. To be 100% crystal clear, the board is not challenging your staff's recommendations. And the board has chosen to support the transition of Nevada Prep to AMS in full. That does mean, however, that to be quite clear, the board does not mean they agreed with your staff's presentation to you of the facts. And they do believe, frankly, that staff's treatment of this school over the last 2 years of this Title I school has not been reasonable, fair, transparent, or lawful. The staff's, so for example, staff's financial messaging to you in October, and then again just now, in the board's opinion, was grossly flawed. The board believes that you're making key decisions on incorrect or misleading information. Even in this week's memo, the authority is saying our enrollment, for example, is 416. It is 473, and that strikes the board as inexplicable. You've also been given no detail or nuance in the prior agenda item about the reasons for the changes in our academic performance and some of the perspectives there. And in a couple minutes, I'll talk more about the academics. We have seen a major improvement in academics, as you heard during public comment, and those we were sure would have continued. As another example, the school filed a forensic audit request that would have improved our finances, and we've been waiting 12 months and have yet to see a first draft. And another example, the board spent 2 years trying to improve this school, doing everything they could, and heard no acknowledgement or praise until this week, which was much appreciated, but I think sent the wrong message to the outgoing administration. As a reminder, if this school had closed 2 years ago, the SPCSA would have eaten a $512,000 PERS liability, and this school paid that off for your benefit. When Mr. Hanel took over as executive director 2 years ago, any other 75-year-old who saw that this school was $1 million in debt and struggling academically in a way that was not reflected in its test scores at that time, anyone else would have run for the hills. And he chose the hard path of pushing the boulder up the hill. And he often felt like he did not have the backing of your staff and this board. So why did the board agree to transition to AMS? It's quite clear that was in the best interests of our students. And that was a hard conclusion to draw, and yet it seemed quite clear. That is all this board ever cared about, and the outgoing administration. This is a Title I school with a 100% FRL population. As you heard during public comment, many of our students came from other Title I schools which did not survive this authority's determinations, including Teach, Battleborn, and Eagle, and also other struggling nearby CCSD schools. Those students are in some cases way behind. You heard during public comment a teacher from one of those schools admit that during the last year of that school, there was virtually no education. And this is on top, of course, of CCSD schools. And I can say this as a parent of a CCSD student at that time, essentially doing very little after when COVID was starting, unlike many of the charters, by the way. So as Nevada Prep was doubling its enrollment, it was accepting the challenge of teaching children who came very unprepared. And so that doubling of enrollment, we knew our academic results would suffer, and they did. And the data is what the data is, but perspective matters. And taking in what I called the refugees from those schools without any support whatsoever and only condemnation and criticism, it hurt. It really hurt. So the outgoing administration, they're tired, they're exhausted, and their battles with the authority to get more support, they weren't helping our children. And so that's what motivated their decision this week to say it's over, to accept the inevitable. Those children were not benefiting from the hours we were putting into epicenter tasks instead of critical interventions. They weren't benefiting from the school paying off $500,000 in remaining debt from the prior administration when they would have rather been buying Chromebooks and curriculum. With time and with support, Nevada Prep would have succeeded, and that didn't happen. I want to turn to sort of the more optimistic approach that our board recognized, which is that we have talked to AMS this week, and we see they share our passion. They share the outgoing board's passion for teaching Title I kids. We were very impressed with what you just heard in the prior item, that 85% of their campuses have a grade of A or B, and 80% of their children qualified for FRL. They have a lot of work to do here, but after talking to them, we were very optimistic. And so we were wholeheartedly agreeing with the last agenda item. And in January, when you formally approve, if you formally approve AMS taking over this school, that is with the outgoing board's sincere approval and gratitude. So to be clear, we have also promised to do everything over the next 6 months to make AMS successful. It starts first, I should say, with making sure that your receiver in the next agenda item, that all of his directives are faithfully are satisfied over the next 6 months. And then when AMS comes in July, that they get they have been set up for success. That is the commitment that Mr. Scott is going to talk about in a minute, but that is absolutely unreservedly what the board has committed to and will make happen. We've already encouraged our families to be open-minded and to hear AMS out, and we will schedule, if Ms. McAdin approves, open houses with AMS even before the January 23rd formal approval. So summarizing, the board is about the community, and it's committed to this peaceful, successful transition, not for Nevada Prep's sake, because that's the writing's on the wall, and not, frankly, for the authority's sake, but for our children. And they've asked me to ask you some questions about the next 18 months. Will you visit with AMS's leadership and tour the school? Will you give AMS the extra support which this school needs, especially given all the students that it has chosen to inherit from other schools, other charter schools, which have not succeeded? Will you commit to doing all that you can to help make that happen? The outgoing board and the administration hope you'll really think hard about those questions, and they thank you for your time.
Thank you. Did you have any other? Go ahead.
Again, for the record, Andrew Scott. Good morning, members of the board and authority staff. I go by AJ. I am serving as the interim executive director for Nevada Prep. I recognize the seriousness of today's proceedings and appreciate the opportunity to address the authority and staff. My focus throughout this transition is to ensure that Nevada Prep remains stable, safe, and student-centered throughout the rest of the school year. Our staff, students, and families, they deserve that consistency, and I'm committed to providing that. As school moves toward new management, my role is to support a smooth handoff, maintain compliance, and uphold clear communication with the SPCSA and our likely receiver, Mr. Josh Kern. I look forward to working collaboratively with the authority and Mr. Kern to make sure this transition is orderly and that our students continue receiving the care and academic support they need. Thank you for your time and for continued leadership during this process. I look forward to working with and learning from the authority staff and from Mr. Kern. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments today and for being here. I know it's not easy, the situation that you're in, and so we appreciate that. Before I bring it back to the board for discussion and a vote, I think it's important that we offer the perspective from the board. I was here, I've been here through all of this. I was even the person that made the motions to extend things against staff's recommendations to keep your school going. And so the perspective that this board did not help the school or try to help the school is false. Over the last 2 years, we were given 3 opportunities to give a notice of breach, which would have put you all on the track to shut down, and we ignored staff's recommendations every time. And so this board had the willingness to do what we could in our capacity to believe in the school. We were encouraged by your school leadership, Mr. Hanel, and your board president, that they could turn things around and that things were being turned around. And so we kept kicking the can down the road, to be frank. So we have done everything that we possibly could in our capacity to support the school. It was up to your school leadership at the time, and even before Mr. Hanel took over, and I know he inherited a mess. We all recognize that and have this whole time. So we appreciate the efforts that they did to try and turn things around. Perhaps at the time it was too little too late, who knows? But from the board's perspective, we have done everything we can to support those families, and nobody wants to be here. Nobody wants to be in this situation. We never wanted to be in this situation, which is why we voted accordingly over the past 2 years. And so I want to get that straight for the record, that this board has always been committed to those families and those communities. So we are, I believe I speak for my colleagues when I say we are feeling reassured that you're welcoming AMS into the Nevada Prep community. I certainly hope that the communication will be there after we heard some public comments today from teachers, of course, of some fear around the change. So I'm hoping that you all will work directly with EMS to make sure the communication is there, people can be reassured and all of that. And our staff, I know, will be working with you all in AMS to make sure the transition is as smooth as possible, and that they'll support, to answer your questions, support as much as possible. So thank you very much. Bringing it back to the board, any questions or comments for staff or for school leadership before we take a vote? Be online. All right, I will entertain a motion. As a reminder, it's 15E.
Dr. Alava, I move to approve the motion for the State Public Charter School Authority pursuant to its authority under NAC 388A 4115 subsection 11 to deny the renewal application for Nevada Preparatory Charter School. This determination is based on the documented academic, organizational, and financial performance of the school as set forth in the staff report herein, renewal application materials, performance framework results, site evaluation findings, and all supporting documentation contained in the board packet for this agenda item. The record reflects 1, a sustained and material decline in academic performance, including multiple consecutive 1-star ratings. Number 2, repeated failures to meet organizational standards, including notices of concern and findings of noncompliance. And 3, failure to meet financial performance expectations, including significant and ongoing fiscal instability, negative fund balances, substantial outstanding liabilities, violations of required financial policies, and notice of breach under the financial performance framework. Based on the totality of this evidence and given greatest weight to academic performance as required by Nevada law, Nevada Preparatory Charter School has not met the standards necessary for renewal under the charter contract and applicable statutes and regulations. Accordingly, Nevada Prep's application for charter contract renewal is denied, and no subsequent charter contract shall be issued to Nevada Prep.
Thank you, Dr. Aldaba. Do I have a second?
Member Shanti Rosales will second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. We will move now from agenda item 15, the charter school contract renewal applications, to agenda item 16. Agenda item 16 concerns the appointment of a closing administrator for any schools whose charter renewal was denied under the previous item. This item is required pursuant to NRS 388A.306 and addresses the next procedural step following a denial of renewal. I will ask council to briefly outline the statutory role and qualifications of a closing administrator before the board considers action.
Thank you, Chair. This is Senior Deputy Attorney General Todd Weiss. So for a little bit of background for this item, under NRS 388A.306, when the authority denies a charter contract renewal, as it just did in the previous agenda item for Nevada Prep, the school enters what's called a statutory closure period, and the board must ensure that there is an appointment of a qualified closing administrator whose job is to oversee an orderly and compliant wind down of school operations. As outlined in the legal analysis section of the staff recommendation, the authority may consider whether a proposed closing administrator has or meets the following criteria: has prior experience closing a Nevada charter school within the last 5 years, has extensive familiarity with Nevada's statutory and reporting requirements for charter school closure, has experience negotiating with vendors and resolving outstanding financial obligations, and has demonstrated a capacity to manage a closure in a manner that minimizes disruption to both students and family during the transition period. Now, ordinarily, the governing body of the school may recommend a closing administrator that is subject to the board's approval. My understanding is that Nevada Prep's outgoing governing body did not meet to vote on recommending a closing administrator of their own. However, the SPCSA staff can also make a recommendation for the closing administrator, which I believe is what they will do here. So with that, I will pass it back to the board for possible action. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pass it over to General Counsel to give her recommendation for the closing administrator.
Thank you. Samantha King Powell, General Counsel of the SPCSA, for the record, speaking on behalf of SPCSA staff. For this item, staff recommends the appointment of Josh Kern of the 10 Square Group as closing administrator for Nevada Prep. Teresa will be handing out his CV for board colleagues to review. As outlined in the legal analysis section of the board memo and consistent with NRS 388A.306, when a charter contract is not renewed, a closing administrator capable of managing the school's closure in an orderly, compliant, and minimally disruptive manner must be appointed. Mr. Kern meets and exceeds each of these criteria as outlined by board counsel. First, Mr. Kern has extensive and recent experience closing Nevada public charter schools. He is currently serving as the closing administrator for Teach Las Vegas, closed in June 2024, Eagle Charter School of Nevada, closed August 2024, and Battleborn Academy, closed June 2025, and has previously served as a closing administrator and court-appointed receiver for other charter schools in the state. This provides him with direct Nevada-specific closure experience. Second, Mr. Kern has demonstrated expertise in Nevada's statutory closure and reporting requirements, including oversight of student records, financial reconciliation, asset disposition, and all required state reporting during this closure period. Third, Mr. Kern has significant experience negotiating with vendors and resolving outstanding financial obligations, which is a critical component of an orderly and fiscally responsible school closure. Finally, Mr. Kern has demonstrated a track record through his work across the country of managing closure-related administrative duties in a manner that prioritizes continuity for students and families through the remainder of the school year. Mr. Kern is committed to minimizing disruption during the transition period and maintaining clear communications with all stakeholders through the closure process. Based on his record and experience, SPCSA staff finds that Mr. Kern is exceptionally well positioned to qualify as closing administrator and submits his recommendation to the board for action. Mr. Kern is present and available for questions from the board. Thank you.
Thank you, council. So we have staff's recommendation. I don't see on the website the proposed motion. If council can read that out, or I can wait for discussion.
I have that motion when we're ready.
Okay. Let's open it for discussion briefly, see if there's anything, and then we can read the recommended motion. Anything from board colleagues in person or online? Okay. Let's go ahead and read the proposed motion.
Staff's proposed motion is as follows. Motion to appoint Josh Kern of the 10 Square Group as closing administrator for Nevada Preparatory Charter School pursuant to NRS 388A.306, effective immediately upon passage of this motion, with authority vested by this board to carry out all duties required under Nevada law for orderly and compliant closure of the school. The school shall remain open and continue operations through the conclusion of the 25-26 school year under the supervision of the closing administrator.
Thank you, council. Do I have a board colleague to be willing to make that motion?
Member Shanti Rosalance will make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Member Richards, I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And since Mr. Kern is here in person, we're going to open up agenda item 13, the Teach and Eagle closure update. Welcome, Mr. Kern.
Thank you, Chair Thigpen. Thank you, members of the authority. It's nice to be here in person before you today. I'm here this morning representing Teach and Eagle charter schools. Pursuant to NRS 388A and related regulations, I'm very happy to report that I am finally nearing completion of my responsibilities to close out both Teach and Eagle. Just last week, we received final written acceptance of the settlement letters between the two schools and the Nevada Department of Education. And this week, both Teach and Eagle paid NDE in accordance with those letters. Additionally, Teach and Eagle are scheduled to be on the agenda for the PERS meeting next week on December 18th, when PERS will decide whether it is willing to treat charged penalties and interest under the same 10% settlement approach that we have used with other general unsecured creditors. This is a novel issue for PERS, and it has taken several months for their board to fully consider the issue and make a final decision, but we do expect that they will do so on their December 18th meeting, and this is the final remaining open issue for the two schools. The accounting firm Clifton Larson Allen has completed the wind down audits, and I'm in possession of the draft audits for both Teach and Eagle. A closeout audit is less familiar than a typical financial audit of a going concern, and we have included some additional information in the final wind down audit to make clear that the entities are in fact dissolved. We've also completed a final draft of the report that will accompany the audits. I plan to submit those audits and the accompanying report to the SPCSA by the end of January 2026. I want to apologize for the delays in submitting these materials. It's frankly taken longer than I had expected it would. Most of the time that we have spent over the last several months has been consumed by securing acceptance letters for settlement terms with all of the general unsecured creditors for both Teach and Eagle. I'm pleased to report that over 90% of the outstanding liabilities have been affirmatively settled with the creditors. So for example, Eagle had over $1 million of general unsecured liabilities owed to creditors at the time of my appointment. And as of today, creditors representing all but 21,000 have affirmatively accepted the settlement terms and have been paid per those settlement terms. I'm hopeful that subsequent audits, Battleborn Academy and also Nevada Prep, and the reports can be completed in far less time. Finally, I want to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the entire SPCSA staff, Melissa McAdin, Samantha King-Powell, and the board as well, for your patience and your support through this process. It's challenging. There's a lot of moving pieces, but at least for Teach and Eagle, we're finally getting to the end of the process, and Battleborn Academy will follow those two schools. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Kern. Any questions from board colleagues? All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, let me just check in with everyone because we just got through some heavy stuff. Did we need to take a convenience break? Everyone good to push on? Okay. All right. Well, with that said, we're going to get back into numerical order-ish. Agenda item number 9, Young Women's Leadership Academy. And that is with Dr. Broughton, I think.
All right, my apologies. Similar to agenda item 10, agenda item 9 is left over from the November board meeting in which we discussed, and this board accepted the Nevada School Performance Framework academic results and the SPCSA academic performance framework results. Young Women's Leadership Academy, or YWLA, received an academic notice of concern for the middle school performance in the 2023-2024 school year. For the 2024-2025 school year, the middle school received a 3-star NSPF rating and a meet standard rating on the SPCSA academic performance framework. Based on these improvements, SPCSA staff does recommend that the authority remove the academic notice of concern and return the middle school to good standing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Broughton. Any questions from board colleagues?
Member Thigpen, just their executive director is online. I didn't know if you realized that. I just wanted to make sure. I know we're all discombobulated after going out of order, so.
I was going well for a while, and now I've messed up. Yes, so we do have leaders from Young Women's Leadership Academy on the line. Should you choose to do so, you can make some commentary up to 5 minutes. I will give you the floor to do so.
Well, I'm sure you all would appreciate a 5-minute presentation. I'm not going to do that, but I can tell you that here at Young Women's Leadership Academy, we remain committed to continuing to provide a high-quality education to our scholars, and we have kept in place many of the systems, including regular professional development and improved systems here to continue that growth, and we're committed to even more academic achievement and growth this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres, and I'll get your name for the record, Selena Torres.
Thank you. I should know better.
You need it on record. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll bring it back to the board. Any questions for staff or school leadership? All right, I will entertain a motion. Agenda item number 9. Mr. Member Salcido, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No questions. Just wanted to congratulate the school, their leaders, and SPCSA staff. It's always nice when we get to remove one of these for improved performance. So thank you to all involved.
Thank you, Member Salcido. I will echo those sentiments. We definitely needed some good news. Okay, I will entertain a motion for agenda item number 9.
Member Shanti Rosales will read the motion. The motion is to remove the academic notice of concern for Young Women's Leadership Academy Middle School and return the school to good standing for the 2024-2025 school year.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Member Holmsatin, second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and well done.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. We are now on agenda item number 11, since we did 10 earlier. Charter application and rubric for 2026 applications. Back to you, Dr. Broughton.
Thank you. I'm running into one slight technical difficulty. I cannot log into this computer to run the slideshow, so someone from LCB is supposed to come help me log in.
Do we take a break? Yeah, we'll take 5 minutes and we'll come back at 11:31. All right, we will call the meeting back to order. Vice Chair Thigpen for the record. I'm tired. Thank you all. Go ahead, Dr. Broughton. Again, we're on agenda item number 11.
Can everyone see this presentation?
Not yet. Oh, there it is.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to review the new charter school application and rubric revisions. I'm going to provide kind of a high level overview, but I do also want to make a note that attached to the board packet is a PDF of both the red line version of the application and rubric, as well as like a cleaned up version with the proposed changes so that you can see what we're proposing to remove or add. And then in the clean version, you would just sort of see what it looks like with those revisions. So with that, I will say good morning, Chair Thigpen and the SPCSA board. My name is Katie Broughton and I serve as the Director of Authorizing for the SPCSA. Within my purview is the new charter application, and I'm here to discuss the proposed changes for your consideration for the 2026 new charter application cycle. This first slide includes a brief overview of this presentation. Namely, I will review our statutory authority and requirements regarding the new charter application process. I will also include an overview of the proposed changes to the application, and then you will consider approving the application and rubric for the 2026 cycle. It is important to note that while we are making some changes in the application and how the application, some of the questions, we are not providing any like substantive overview with there's some bigger changes in the financial section, but generally like we're not proposing a huge overhaul of this application. This slide includes an overview of the statutory authority and requirements within NRS regarding the SPCSA's duties and powers when it comes to new charter application. Specifically, it is the role of this board to determine how applications are evaluated and also approve or deny applications once submitted. This board is also responsible for laying out the procedure and criteria for which applications are evaluated on, which is done through the rubric document. NRS 388A.249 lays out additional criteria that an application must meet in order to be approved. The procedures that are required pursuant to NRS 388A.249 are further specified in NAC 388A.260. This includes a deadline, which is currently April 30th, a notice of intent, an application form, completeness check, application withdrawal, information about the review of the charter application, a recommendation to this body, and the final consideration by this body. The criteria that the SPCSA must adopt is adopted through the application rubric, which is directly aligned to the application itself. SPCSA staff provides applicants with 3 documents through this process: the application, the rubric, and the guidance document. The applicant fills out the application while referencing both the rubric and guidance document, and then SPCSA staff and external evaluators utilize the rubric in order to evaluate the application and bring a recommendation to this body. The application consists of the cover sheet and 4 sections that all applicants must complete: meeting the need, academic plan, operations plan, and financial plan. The addendum is an additional 5th section that is only required of CMO applicants or applicants that plan to contract with a CMO or EMO. Each section includes both written narrative in responses to the questions in the application and additional required attachments. For the overview of revisions, generally, we worked on cleaning up some duplicative questions within the application and adding some other clarifying items. The first major thing we did was add a checkbox to the committee to form membership list. NRS spells out the required membership for a committee to form, and it does provide some nuance in the definition of teacher. Specifically, it requires a teacher to have 2 years of experience employed as a teacher, which does not include being employed as a substitute. So applicants will need to check yes or no regarding that requirement to help SPCSA staff ensure that they meet those statutory requirements. Additionally, we removed and consolidated questions that ask for information that can be found in other sections of the application. As I referenced earlier, I included the sections in which questions were removed, consolidated, or clarified, and there is a redline version of the application attached so that you can see exactly what was removed. Next, during the most recent legislative session, SB 460 passed, which required the new charter application to include a description of the efficient use of any public money received by the charter school in carrying out the financial plans and policies. Questions in the financial plan section were entirely revised and now meet this requirement. We are also working on reformatting and clarifying expectations for the budget narrative in the financial plan workbook. We've not finished that, but because that is an attachment to the application, that can be clarified a little bit more specifically. So the questions that applicants must answer are clear. It is also clear that they must submit a financial plan workbook, but we just did not have the time to get that done by today's meeting. But that will be clarified and available to applicants. We're hoping by mid-February. And then finally, we did remove the school leader evaluation tool and teacher evaluation tool from the list of required attachments. So that was something that, people would have to say, like, I've chosen a lot of applicants use the Nevada Educator Performance Tool, or the NEPF as it's most often referred to, and they would identify that as the tool, but then they would have to download the version from NDE's website, which is 30 pages, and they'd have to include that as an attachment. We're removing the requirement that it be included as an attachment, but we are still requiring applicants to identify the tool that they plan to use to evaluate teachers and identify the tool that they're planning to use to evaluate administrators. And, if the review team wants to look at some of the specifics of that tool, they're certainly willing to do that, but we're just not requiring it being downloaded and included as part of the list of attachments. Overall, these proposed changes that staff is recommending do not substantively change the information requested through the application process. Instead, they allow the review team to focus a little bit more on some specific criteria and kind of allow some duplicative sections to hopefully be a little bit more clear in the one place they remained. We are also recommending that we are given approval to add information from and a link for the 2026 Academic and Demographic Needs Assessment. That hasn't yet been approved. It is on the agenda for today, and it is a critical part of the rubric and the application. So the motion does contemplate allowing us to incorporate that within the application and rubric if approved today. And that's what I've got. If anyone has any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. Would you mind, or if it's possible, to leave the recommendation up on the screen, just because I'm having trouble finding it? Thank you. All right, bringing it back to the board. Any questions for staff? Anybody online? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Member Richards, I'll make the motion. Approve the new charter school application and rubric effective for the 2026 application cycle.
It went bye-bye.
Maybe. That's probably good.
Okay.
There's more. There you go.
I'll start again. Approve the Member Richards, approve the new charter school application and rubric effective for the 2026 application cycle. Approve SPCSA staff to add information from and a link to the 2026 Academic and Demographic Needs Assessment once approved.
Thank you, Building Ghost, for leaving that up there. Do we have a second?
Member Shanti Rosales will second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Dr. Broughton. See, that was 11, right? Okay. All right, agenda item number 12, the 2026 Demographic and Academic Needs Assessment. Back to you, Director McAdam.
All right, and I'm just going to start by saying that, as you have clearly seen, I did not include a proposed motion for a single thing I was in charge of this month. This one is going to be in my
Got a lot
notes,
going
but
on.
there's not, I didn't follow our normal procedure, and I am very sorry for that. I'm sorry. All right, the demographic and academic needs assessment. In 2019, the Nevada Legislature passed AB 462, which resulted in updates to authorizing practices for charter school sponsors, including requirements for the SPCSA to 1, annually conduct an evaluation of demographic and academic needs of students, and 2, to incorporate those findings into the charter school authorizing decisions. As such, the SPCSA has worked with stakeholders to establish and annually update the SPCSA needs assessment, which defines needs regarding underperforming student groups and geographies with underperforming schools. New charter school applicants must use the SPCSA needs assessment to propose new charter schools that meet the needs of underperforming student groups and/or are located in zip codes with underperforming schools. The SPCSA staff review new charter applications for alignment to the needs assessment, and based on those findings, make recommendations to the authority to approve or deny the application. Before you today is the updated 2026 SPCSA needs assessment, which will be used by our new charter applicants and SPCSA staff during the 2026 new charter school application cycle. The updates incorporate recent academic and enrollment data into a document, data file, and map. SPCSA staff recommend, this is a really simple one, I promise, the authority approve the needs assessment as provided in the attachment to this agenda item. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Mackinnon. Well, we can go into discussion, or while it's fresh, if somebody wants to make a motion, you can. Okay, no discussion. Looking for a motion. I'm seeing no discussion, not that we can't have discussion. Somebody give me a good
So moved.
There we go. Those are the words I was hoping to hear. All right, do we have a second?
Dr. Havdallah, I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much for bearing with us on that. All right, now we're on to agenda item number 14, the 2025-2026 school year enrollment data. I think we have Miss Mary Holsclaw. I'm probably saying that wrong.
Good afternoon, Chair. You said it just fine. I appreciate you.
Yay.
Give me just a moment while I share my screen. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, good morning, Chair and members of the authority. My name is Mary Holsclaw, and today I will be presenting the official 2025-26 school year SPCSA student enrollment data. Here is an outline of today's presentation. First, I will provide an overview of the annual student enrollment data collected across the state of Nevada. Second, we will report a few SPCSA highlights and then show SPCSA total enrollment and how that compares across the state. Next, we will discuss enrollment trends for SPCSA populations and also compare those to the state. And then we will report on enrollments for SPCSA schools that have recently opened. Whoops, pardon me. This slide provides an overview of the annual enrollment data collected by the Nevada Department of Education. Annually around October 1, the NDE takes a snapshot of student enrollment across the state. This date is known as Validation Day. These enrollment data are collected by student with various information attached to records, including but not limited to race, ethnicity, free or reduced price lunch, FRL eligibility, disability status, students with an individual education program or IEP, and English language learner or ELL status. Data are validated by school districts, the SPCSA, and SPCSA schools. Once validation day data are finalized, they are used for official federal and state reporting and funding. For example, official enrollment data are submitted to the U.S. Department of Education, displayed on the Nevada report card portal, used on NSPF school, star rating reports, and in the NSPF needs assessment. Additionally, these data help the NDE and the SPCSA determine certain funding. On this slide, we will speak to the overall SPCSA enrollment highlights. First, the official SPCSA enrollment for the 25-26 school year is 70,534 students. With that number of students, the SPCSA is the second largest LEA or local education agency in Nevada, trailing only to Clark County. Of note, over 60% of SPCSA schools are enrolled at Title I schools, which are schools serving high rates of students eligible for free or reduced price lunch. This is up from about 50% last year. Finally, the last highlight demonstrates the continuing diversification of the SPCSA student population. Per the SPCSA strategic plan, the SPCSA strives to serve a population representative of the state and of the areas served by the SPCSA. Enrollment rates increased year over year for certain populations, such as students identifying as Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, or two or more races, students with disabilities, or those with IEPs. And then lastly, enrollment rates decreased year over year for students identifying as white. And recently, data enrollment rates decreased for economically disadvantaged students and for English language learners. This slide displays recent annual SPCSA validation day enrollment counts. Again, as mentioned in the highlights, the official SPCSA enrollment for the 2025-26 school year is 70,534 students, which is shown at the far right on the chart. That is about a 10.8% increase over the 2024 count of 63,609. This larger percentage increase from 2024 to 2025 is due to the transfer of 6 existing charter schools, roughly 5,400 students that transferred from Clark County School District to SPCSA sponsorship on July 1 of this year. Excluding those schools, the percent increase from 2024 to 2025 is 2.3%, which demonstrates controlled growth over recent years. This slide situates 2025-26 school year SPCSA enrollment within the state. The pie chart on the left shows that the SPCSA is the second largest LEA, enrolling about 15% of the total Nevada student population, as shown in the bright blue slice. The SPCSA remains behind Clark County, which enrolls 61.5% of Nevada students, but this year overtook Washoe County, which enrolls 13.4%. Again, due to the transfer of those CCSD charter schools to the SPCSA sponsorship. For reference, the table on the right shows additional detail displaying the 2025-26 enrollment counts and percent of the state for each school district in Nevada. After seeing total enrollment for SPCSA and how that fits into enrollment across the state, let's examine SPCSA student population trends. This chart displays a 3-year trend for certain student groups, including the 7 race ethnicity categories, English language learners, economically disadvantaged students, and students with disabilities. Under race ethnicity, Black African American, Hispanic Latino, and 2 or more races enrollment rates have increased for the SPCSA each of the last 2 years. The white enrollment rate has decreased each of the last 2 years, and other populations have remained relatively steady. Looking back even further, which we are unable to show due to the lack of space, the Hispanic Latino enrollment rate has increased each year since at least 2014, while the white rate has decreased. The IEP population have also experienced enrollment rate increases each of the last 2 years, while EL populations maintain a steady rate near 10%. The FRL rate experienced a dip from about 64% to 51.1% this year. Following a look at SPCSA student group trends, this slide displays a comparison between this year's student group enrollment rates at the SPCSA and the state. The state is shown in dark blue columns, while the SPCSA is shown in the blue-gray. In the data table at the bottom of the chart, we added icons to help compare SPCSA groups to the state. The up triangles in green signify the SPCSA student group enrollment rate is above the respective state group, and down triangles in red signify a rate below the state group. Let's start with race ethnicity on the left. Compared to the state, the SPCSA enrolls proportionally more students identifying as Asian, Black African American, or 2 or more races. In contrast, the SPCSA enrolls proportionally fewer Hispanic, Latino, White, and American Indian, Alaska Native students than the state. The SPCSA has made large gains over recent years regarding race ethnicity, where enrollment rates are now relatively comparable to those for the state. Moving to the 3 student populations on the right, the SPCSA enrolls proportionally fewer English learners, economically disadvantaged students, and students with disabilities than the state. The SPCSA is making progress towards serving a population representative of the state, as many differences versus the state have been steadily closing over the last few years. Additionally, as you will see on a later slide, due to recent initiatives in state legislation, student group enrollment rates at new SPCSA schools are more representative of the state. There is one additional note in regard to FRL rates. As shown in the box at the top right, over 65% of schools across the state are Community Eligibility Provision or CEP schools, which mean over-report FRL numbers. Schools that apply for CEP can serve breakfast and or lunch at no cost to all enrolled students without collecting household applications, which reduces paperwork and staff burdens. At CEP schools, the entire student body is reported as FRL eligible, even though not every student may technically be eligible for FRL. The next slide shows more context on FRL rates and the impact CEP schools have. This slide shows a comparison of FRL direct certification rates across the state, which are for students automatically eligible for FRL due to their family receiving Medicaid, SNAP benefits, etc. This may provide a more realistic FRL comparison between the SPCSA and other districts or the state as compared to FRL rates reported in validation day, which as mentioned may be overinflated due to reporting of CEP schools as 100% FRL. In validation day, there is over a 30-point gap between the state and SPCSA rates for FRL. However, when looking at FRL direct certification rates, the SPCSA is only 6 percentage points behind the state, demonstrating the large impact CEP schools have on FRL reporting in validation day. To summarize, the SPCSA is serving a relatively representative population of students when it comes to students directly certified for FRL. Let's now look at enrollment at SPCSA schools that have recently opened. Owing to recent initiatives in state legislation that have resulted in more strategic authorizing, such as the incorporation of a demographic and academic needs assessment into authorizing decisions, the SPCSA is serving a population more representative of the state. This chart shows enrollment rates for the state in dark blue, the SPCSA in gray, and in brighter blue, SPCSA schools that have been approved post-implementation of the aforementioned needs assessment. These new schools are displayed in the text below the chart. Overall, these newer SPCSA schools are serving a population more representative of the state as seen in the light blue bars. That brings us to our takeaways. Again, the official 2025-26 school year enrollment for the SPCSA is 70,534 students, which is about a 10.8% increase year over year. Excluding the 6 existing charter schools, about 5,400 students that transferred from Clark County School District to SPCSA sponsorship on July 1 of this year, the increase over the 2024-25 school year is 2.3%. The SPCSA is now the second largest local education agency in Nevada, mainly due to the influx of students from the Clark County School District charter schools that transferred to SPCSA sponsorship. Over 60% of SPCSA students are enrolled in Title I schools. Year over year, SPCSA enrollment rates increased for certain populations, including students identifying as Black African American, Hispanic Latino, or 2 or more races, as well as students with disabilities. Enrollment rates decreased for students identifying as white, for economically disadvantaged students, and for English language learners. The SPCSA aims to serve a population representative of the state and the districts its schools are located within. The SPCSA has made large gains over recent years regarding race ethnicity, where enrollment rates are now comparable to those for the state. The SPCSA still lags the state in percentage of economically disadvantaged students, students with disabilities, and English language learners served, but progress has been made, especially as evidenced by new school enrollment data. As we move forward, authorizing decisions will help the SPCSA meet those goals. Additionally, as included in the November and December meeting materials, various historically underperforming student groups served by SPCSA schools continue to outperform their state peers in various measures of academic performance, such as proficiency and graduation rates. That concludes the presentation. For your reference, there's also an attachment within the meeting materials tabulating the enrollment data by school. If you have any questions, I am available.
Thank you, Ms. Holsclaw, for the presentation, and big thanks to staff for working hard to put together all this data every year, especially over the last year where we've had a lot of changes with the influx of those CCSD former charter schools. I know it's a lot to keep up with. All right, so I'll bring it back to the board for questions. This is just for information only, so nothing to vote on. Any questions from board colleagues?
Member Shanti Rosales, thank you so much for the presentation. I always like seeing the numbers. I always like seeing the enrollment, and now being the second largest in the state is exciting. I just had a quick question. I know you mentioned that part of the increase in enrollment was related to the schools we acquired from Clark County School District. Is there any information or data that can point us to whether our enrollment increased due to the implementation of transportation?
That is a great question. I may have to get back to you on that one if you are okay with that.
Yeah, I think honestly, this is kind of an unknown. Like, to be very frank with you, we have a lot of charter schools this year that are under-enrolled, more than normal, which is sort of surprising considering transportation. And so that's sort of part of what we're looking at in between now and when we bring those schools to do their charter amendments for being under-enrolled, is how many of those were schools that are providing transportation versus not, and sort of trying to do some internal analysis on that. But it's not something we have like ready yet, but it is an excellent question and worthy of investigating for sure.
Thank you. I was just curious to see how that might go. And I know with certain schools, the migration of folks from one charter, they're staying within the charter school community, but just really wanted to look at that transportation element. But thank you.
I would just add one other thing, Member Shanti Rosales. Certainly anecdotally, our schools that are providing transportation do indicate that like their families are very appreciative. They see a demand for it. Almost all of them see the need to like add additional routes if money becomes available, those sorts of things. So certainly anecdotally, a lot of positive, things coming from the schools themselves, but like directly correlating it to enrollment, we got to dig a little deeper.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Member Salcido, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Two quick questions. Well, one statement and one question. I want to make sure it's clear for anyone watching, and that when you see that jump in growth from hitting 70,000 students, you mentioned, and I think it was on an asterisk there, but it was if you remove the Clark County School District charter schools that we absorbed, the increase in our year over year would be 2.3%, which is perfectly in line with the pattern we've seen in recent years. Is that correct?
Mayor Holsclaw, for the record, yes, sir, that is correct. And if you'd like, I can bring that slide back up to reference.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just so again, because I know that the reason I'm kind of highlighting that, even though I know you did as well, but I just want to emphasize it, is if you were seeing this, you say, "Whoa, charter schools are exploding. They're growing. It's an out of control growth." But it's really, again, 2.3% growth within, if you remove the Clark County School District charters, and there's obviously a long history of why that was done. And it's a very unique situation that is not, I think, indicative of the controlled growth and very deliberate and carefully approved growth. So I just wanted to emphasize that. So I thank you for including that. My next question, if I may, is the free and reduced lunch numbers that we were looking at, and you see a big gap, and you went on to explain that some of that, or potentially a lot of it, can be explained by this CEP certification. Is there a reason why our schools do not seek out, or do they seek out, or why are only 30% of our schools there when, again, perfect, with this next slide, it seems like we should be a lot closer to the state average with that. Is essentially, is there a reason that we know of why schools in our portfolio are not getting that CEP certification?
That is a great question that I'm actually going to, if you will allow me, Member Salcido, to research that for you, and I can get back to you as quick as possible.
I think I can answer that, Member Salcido, Katie Broughton, for the record. So it doesn't always financially make sense for a school to be considered CEP. So there is a process that they have to go to and there are requirements that they have to meet. So it's not always, depending on the percentage of students that they serve that would qualify as FRL, it's not always, there's a fiscal element that schools have to weigh to make that determination. And so schools may or may not choose to make that determination, but like Clark County School District as a whole is CEP. So every student that attends a Clark County School District school is considered FRL. And that's partly why we're trying to look a little bit more closely at the data, because we also know that not every single student that attends Clark County School District would be considered eligible for free and reduced price lunch outside of CEP. So that's why we're looking at something else. But some of our schools are CEP. I don't know off the top of my head what number or what percentage, but there are several that are considered CEP. And so 100% of their students are eligible for free and reduced price lunch. But there is a fiscal element to it where your student body has to fall within a certain percentage of students who would qualify. And it is a consideration, and it doesn't always make sense depending on the student body that you serve.
Thank you for that. But did you just say that every student in Clark County School District is considered free and reduced lunch?
Every student in Clark County School District is counted as an FRL student in validation day because the entire district is CEP, which, to be clear, is really good for students, because then any student can essentially receive breakfast or lunch at no cost to them without any families having to do paperwork, where it is not what it does, though, with the data is it provides some murkiness around actual FRL students.
Thank you.
And Member Salcido, that's exactly, I think what you're getting at is, like, if every student in Clark County is being counted as, qualifying for free and reduced lunch, it's really skewing the data. That's the majority of the students, right? And so that is why at the SPCSA, we have Mary and members of her team, we've really started looking at this direct cert data that's up on the slide right now, because we do think it paints a more, realistic and true picture of how we measure up. And we certainly recognize we have work to do to measure up to where Clark County is, but we're sitting a little above Washoe County. Like you can see where we're falling. So acknowledging we have work to do, but that the disparity is not as great as it seems when you just look at FRL data that incorporates that CEP number.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from board colleagues for staff?
Member Holmes, thank you. I have not a question, but perhaps just a reflection, if I may, and that is that as our numbers increase and as we serve more students and more families, certainly that we would be mindful of the incredible responsibility to attend to the needs of our students, acknowledging the disparities that exist, and that we would encourage and support our school leadership to ensure that there are strategies that are being put in place to specifically attend to the needs, the diverse needs of our students as our numbers increase. Thank you for the opportunity to share that reflection.
Thank you, Member Holmstead. Anything else from board colleagues? Okay. Thank you very much, team. We will go ahead and reopen agenda item number 15, the charter school contract renewal application, specifically 15A, Democracy Prep at the Agassi campus. And this is, I think, Dr. Broughton, maybe?
Okay, Democracy, so this is 15, okay, 15A is the charter contract renewal for Democracy Prep at the Agassi campus, or DPAC. They submitted an application to renew the charter contract as their current charter contract expires on June 30th, 2026. DPAC is a brick and mortar public charter school that currently serves 927 students in kindergarten through 12th grade on one campus in Clark County. The DPAC renewal application identifies the mission of the upcoming charter term to educate responsible citizen scholars for success in the college of their choice and a life of active citizenship. The key design elements of the school include rigorous college preparatory academics, a safe and supportive school culture, data-driven decision-making, extended learning time, and a commitment to all scholars. The application cites improving academic outcomes and test scores, decreasing chronic absenteeism, and increasing family-school communication as primary areas of focus for the next charter term. DPAC is currently managed by a charter management organization, or a CMO, referred to as Democracy Prep Public Schools. Democracy Prep Public Schools recently completed a comprehensive strategic review. As a result of that strategic review, the CMO National Board voted on October 2nd, 2025 to end its management of Democracy Prep at the Agassi campus in Clark County, effective July 1st, 2026. Beginning in the 2026-2027 school year, DPAC will operate as an independent public charter school. Democracy Prep Public Schools indicated that this transition is designed to increase local autonomy, keep more resources within the community, and allow DPAC to tailor its school model to better meet local needs. By shifting to local management, the local school will have greater flexibility, responsiveness, and ownership to support long-term success. DPAC has struggled to meet academic and financial performance expectations throughout the charter term, with the elementary school earning 2 consecutive one-star NSPF ratings, as well as repeated does not meet standard ratings on the SPCSA academic performance framework. These persistent outcomes do raise concern about the school's ability to improve student achievement. Organizationally, DPAC has generally exhibited few performance concerns. However, there are challenges ahead as the school transitions away from CMO management and becomes an independently run organization. Ultimately, because their academic performance has consistently fallen short of expectations, financial performance has been mixed throughout the current charter term, and the school will be experiencing organizational changes. SPCSA staff recommends that the authority renew DPAC for a 3-year term beginning July 1st, 2026, and a proposed motion can be found on page 5 of the recommendation memo.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. I see we have some school leaders here. Welcome. If you want to have a few minutes to make some remarks of your own, you may do so now. Just be sure to state your name for the record and press the little button on the base of the mic.
Dr. Beyonce Gain is for the record. I am DPAC's superintendent currently. We just want to sit before you and thank you for the opportunity to address any questions that you all may have and speak to any transition things that are going on at this time. And so we just want to be available to answer any questions that allow you to make a sound and clear decision.
Dr. Rains, I see you are on camera. Do you want to go first and then I will follow you?
I saw a finger pointing at you.
Oh, she that delegating. You good?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Tara Rains. I am the current DPAC board chair. I apologize. I am traveling for work unexpectedly. So thank you for this opportunity from Chicago. And my vice chair, Adam Johnson, is going to give remarks on behalf of the board.
Good
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, we've crossed that line. So good afternoon, everyone. Adam Johnson, for the record. I am the vice chair of Democracy Prep at the Agassiz campus. I've had the pleasure of serving at the school since its inception in 2016 when we transitioned from Agassiz College Prep. And then I rolled off of out of the ED role and into a board chair role. I was a board president for 2 years, and then Dr. Raines has been the president for the current year. The splitting from Democracy Prep public schools is bittersweet, but I think it gives us the school the opportunity to do a lot of what we've wanted to do, which is be a community-based school that has the opportunity to listen to, be responsive to the needs of our student body. I think we have the opportunity to really transform the school and make sure that we are serving students in the way that we want to. And we're excited for the 3-year opportunity, but we also know that we have to meet expectations. And we also recognize that there will be a lot of hard work that comes with the next few months as we transition from having back office support to having to figure out these things of ourselves. But the thing that excites me the most is, one, we have a committed nucleus of a board. So I have 2 of my colleagues behind me, Janelle Addis and Malik Kendricks, both of whom have been on the board for several years now and are going to help us steward through the transition. We have a stable board of committed educators, professionals, parents who are going to help us navigate through this as well. I think with all of the expertise that we bring to the board and then combined with the community commitment, while we know the path won't be easy, I think we're very clear-eyed about how to make sure that we move forward with intention, and then also I think methodically enough to make sure that we start to see rapid academic improvement. That's the one thing that, we had a meeting of our small executive group a couple of weeks ago, and that was the continued undertone of the conversation. What is the way that we leverage this opportunity to make sure that we see rapid academic improvement in our schools? We want to make sure that this school is what we've committed to our school community.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll bring it back to the board. There is a recommended motion in the attachments on the website. So we'll go ahead and open this up for discussion. Any board colleagues here in the boardroom have any thoughts for staff or school leadership? All right, looking into my folks online, I see Mr. Member Salcido. Go ahead.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Mr. Member, I'll take it. Quick question for the school leaders. The kind of parting ways with the national organization, and sorry, I'm a little. Sometimes it's confusing because it's the same name, and I understand the local entity. From what I understand, is going to keep the name and the branding. Is that correct? Are you still Democracy Prep moving forward?
So we will not be using the name Democracy Prep. So Democracy Prep Public Schools is the entity that exists in New York. We will become an independent entity. We will have a new name, but we're going to go through a process to be able to use a name. Today, the moniker DPAC has been what many of our community members know our school as. And so while we go through the transition, we'll keep DPAC as the name. At least that's the plan for right now. We'll keep DPAC as the moniker as we then work with community to try to determine what will be our name moving forward. We want our name to represent the families of the West Side. And so we're going to take input from them to be able to help us determine what our new name will be.
Understood. Thank you for that. And then how does that affect your facility in terms of the spinoff? Is it and the change in, and like, just can you give me an update on how, if any, effect this has on the spinoff? I mean, has on your use of that facility and location?
So as it is today, there is we've been in communication with the Agassiz Foundation, who owns the property. They've committed to continue to allow for us to leverage that building so long as we meet the terms that we have with them. So we're not concerned about not having facilities. We want to, again, our major concern is making sure that we meet the academic standards that we set for ourselves so that we can continue to serve our students and families.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Member Salcedo. Any other questions from board colleagues, either for staff or school leaders? All right. Well, I will say, just for the record, I appreciate you all. It sounds like you're coming into this with eyes wide open, which I know we all appreciate, especially after some decisions we had to make today. I think with some other schools, when a change like this happens, we've seen where things can go sideways. So it sounds like you guys are being very proactive. And so we're wishing you all the luck in the world with the transition. So we look forward to hearing more updates. With that, I will entertain a motion.
Member Richards, approve the renewal of the charter contract for Democracy Prep at the Agassiz Academy, DPAC, for a 3-year term beginning July 1st, 2026 as an independently operated charter school subject to the following conditions. By March 2nd, 2026, DPAC must submit to the SPCSA staff evidence of a current valid agreement with the facility owner or operator and ensure the budget reflects this agreement. By March 2nd, 2026, DPAC must submit to the SPCSA staff a sustainable transition plan detailing how the school will secure, preserve, and maintain access to all DPAC historical and operational data, including but not limited to Infinite Campus and related systems. By March 2nd, 2026, DPAC must A, identify all services currently performed by the national CMO, and B, submit a sustainable transition plan for each service specifying whether the school will assume the service in-house or transition the service to another qualified provider. And by March 2nd, 2026, DPAC must submit to SPCSA staff a sustainable board-approved operating budget for fiscal year 2027. The renewal term shall include the enrollment caps outlined in the recommendation memo. In the event of academic, financial, or organization underperformance, the authority may impose additional oversight.
Thank you very much. Member Richards, do I have a second?
Member Holmsutton, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I should have said say aye, so you all would do it in unison. Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you all.
All right, we're almost there, folks. 15B. I think this is back to you, Dr. Brodden.
This is my last agenda item of the day. So this is the last you'll hear from me today and this year. All right, agenda item 15B is Explore Academy's charter contract renewal. They submitted an application to renew their charter contract as the current charter contract expires on June 30th, 2026. Explore is a brick and mortar public charter school that currently serves 329 students in 6th through 12th grades on one campus in Clark County. The Explore Academy renewal application identifies the mission of its upcoming charter term is to provide all students, regardless of background, with a personalized, standards-based educational experience through the power of student choice, allowing each student to create a personalized and engaging educational pathway in preparation for college. The key design elements of the school include greater student accountability using a standards-driven system in a course design and academic reporting, selectivity and student choice for all classes to promote both a customized and individualized form of an elective-based education, and college preparation through the implementation of a curriculum that increasingly resembles and simulates college academics in structure, rigor, and content. Explore Academy has struggled to meet academic performance expectations throughout the charter term, with the middle school earning 3 consecutive 1-star NSPF ratings, as well as repeated does not meet standard and below standard ratings on the academic performance framework. These persistent outcomes do raise concern about the school's ability to improve student achievement. Organizationally, Explore Academy has generally exhibited few performance concerns. And then financially, while their performance has been an area of concern, they've shown pretty significant recent year-over-year improvements. And these improvements indicate progress toward financial stability in the pretty near future. Ultimately, while academic performance has not yet met expectations and financial results have been mixed during the current charter term, SPCSA staff recommends renewing Explore Academy for a 3-year term beginning July 1st, 2026, and a proposed motion can be found on page 5 of the recommendation memo.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. And I believe, do we have members from the school online? Okay, perfect. For school leadership, you do have a few minutes if you want to say some brief remarks before we discuss as a board.
Yes, I know it's been a long day thus far, so I won't be long-winded. I just want to thank you all again for your continued support as we are hoping to look 3 years on. We know we're not where we're supposed to be, but we as a team here at Explore are dedicated to the future. We are already planning and implementing new things to ensure that we are meeting our students where they are and being the best for not just our students, but our community.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion. Any thoughts or questions from board colleagues, either for staff or for the school leadership? Oh, Member Stern, there you are. There's too many boxes on the screen. Go ahead.
Thank you, Member Stern, for the record. Just clarification from SPCSA staff about the rule regarding consecutive 1-star ratings. Just noting the 3 years of consecutive 1-star rating. Can I just get some clarification around that to understand where the school currently stands and the renewal with respect to their academic standing?
Yes, Katie Broughton for the record. So as I've mentioned, I think a couple different times today, SB 460 provided some provisions in which a school could get a third 1-star rating and not be recommended for, or not like charter, they were not required to end the charter contract. And Explore did meet those provisions, specifically. So the exemption criteria is that an NSPF score that is within 10 points of a 2-star NSPF rating can be exempted from the mandatory closure. Their third 1-star was an index score of 22, which is 7 points away from the threshold of 29 for a 2-star rating. And then the second exemption would be a 50% improvement in NSPF scores. They did not meet that exemption. Their prior score was 13, and they improved 69% to 22, but they did meet the first exemption as they were well within 10 points of a 2-star NSPF rating. And so that exemption meant that though they did get a third 1-star rating, we were not required. They were basically excused from the mandatory provision of closure.
Member Stone, for the record, thank you for that, Dr. Broughton. And just to clarify, just for the record, to make sure I appreciate the school's acknowledgement of the challenges they're facing and their commitment. But just as a point of clarification, for what the consequence would be should the school receive a 1-star rating, again, do those provisions for exceptions apply, or what would the school need to do to avoid an automatic closure after this year should we grant the renewal?
So the provisions would still be in place, the exemption provisions. So they would have to earn another 1-star rating that was less than 19 points, an index score of less than 19 points. Otherwise, if it was higher than 19 points, they would stay within that 10-point provision window.
Member Stone, for the record, I appreciate that, and of course, acknowledging that it is our sincere hope, and I believe the intent of the school, should they receive the renewal, to improve the academics, but just highlighting for the school that should the renewal be granted. It is our hope that that will not trigger the need for an automatic closure and that you'll be able to continue to serve the students and families. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Stern. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Vice Chair Whitaker, for the record, I had a question for the school staff. It had mentioned that there is revamp of instructional revamp. Can you expand on what that means and some of the things that you guys are going to be implementing?
Yeah, so we for this year we aligned to make sure there was no gaps for our kids. What we looked when we did an instructional deep dive, we found that there were some gaps that our kids didn't get the instruction or the standards they needed before they took SBAC. So that was revamped last year. We saw that growth in our SBAC scores. For this upcoming term, we're looking at standards aligned curriculum to ensure that our teachers are given a rigorous curriculum for students in both English and math, things that have not been done at our school before. It's been teacher created. And so things that we're not going to just keep doing things just to do them. We're looking to do things differently because obviously they're not working in the way that we want them to work. And so hopefully we have the 3-year window to implement some of these changes to ensure that we are being the best for our kids and making the growth that they deserve.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Anything else from my board colleagues? Go ahead, Member Salcido.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify, this applies for all of these, or at least for all these applications, renewal applications. Just because we give it hypothetically, just because we give a 3-year renewal does not take away the automatic closure provisions, right? And I get the exemptions part, but just wanted to emphasize, right, that it's not we giving them 3 years to get out of that 1-star rating, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Any school that is renewed is still subject to all 3 elements of the performance framework and an SPF rating and all of the various consequences that can occur as a result of not meeting expectations in any of those areas.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there's no other discussion, I will entertain a motion.
Member Holmes Button. Oh, I defer to my colleagues, certainly.
Okay. Member Shanti Rosales will read the motion. And it's to approve the Explore Academy renewal application for a 3-year term beginning July 1st, 2026, and the enrollment caps outlined above in the recommendation memo. In the event of academic, financial, or organizational underperformance, the authority may impose additional oversight.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Vice Chair Whitaker will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Much better. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and thank you. We look forward to hearing more updates on improvement.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Agenda item 15C, I believe this goes over to Mr. Peltier, Freedom Classical.
Thank you, Chair Thigpen. Danny Peltier for the record. Freedom Classical Academy submitted an application to renew its charter contract as the current charter contract expires on June 30th, 2026. Freedom Classical is a brick and mortar public charter school that currently serves 1,054 students in kindergarten through 8th grade on one campus in Clark County. The Freedom Classical renewal application describes the key elements of the school. FCA seeks to provide both a classical education and STEM instruction. Classical education provides students with the wisdom of the ages, while STEM instruction provides them with the skills for tomorrow. Within those 2 pedagogies, FCA also seeks to help students develop leadership skills to prepare them for career and college. As demonstrated by the Nevada School Performance Framework and the SPCSA Academic Framework ratings over the current charter term, academic performance has been mixed across grade spans. The elementary school did not meet state and SPCSA academic standards, while the middle school met state and exceeded SPCSA academic standards. Due to the academic underperformance, the elementary school is currently under an academic notice after showing improvement during the 24-25 school year. Freedom Classical was issued a deficiency during its most recent site evaluation on April 10, 2025, due to low levels of academic school performance in the elementary grades. The school has since complied with all requirements associated with this deficiency. Additionally, Freedom Classical noted in their renewal application that they are focused on improving classroom instruction. They hired a literacy coach and an instructional coach who observe daily instruction and provide targeted support to teachers to help them improve their craft, reach challenging students, and utilize data. Based on their observations, these individuals develop professional development sessions that are delivered during monthly PD sessions. As a result of this effort, the most recent SPCSA site evaluation recognized improvement in classroom instruction, particularly in relation to student engagement. Freedom Classical has not exhibited any major organizational or financial performance concerns over the course of the current charter term. Ultimately, because the academic performance of Freedom Classical Academy Elementary School has been mixed, but did show improvement in the most recent rating cycle, and the middle school has consistently met performance expectations, SPCSA staff recommends that the authority renew Freedom Classical Academy for a 4-year charter term, beginning July 1st, 2026. The new term would be subject to the enrollment caps listed in the memo. A proposed motion can be found on page 4 of the memo that you have before you. Happy to take any questions, and I believe we have some folks from Freedom Classical here as well to speak to their renewals as well.
Thank you, Mr. Peltier. We'll go ahead and let the folks from Freedom Classical have a few minutes to give some remarks if they so wish.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Christensen. I'm the Executive Director for Freedom Classical Academy. Thank you, board members and SPCSA staff, for your consideration today. We're excited to keep growing and keep moving forward. As Danny mentioned, our middle school has performed very well for a number of years, and our elementary school is making progress. We nearly doubled our score for elementary last year, and we continue to make progress this year, so we know what we're doing is working and we're headed in the right direction. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. All right, we'll bring you back to the board for discussion. Any questions or comments for either the school leaders or for staff? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Dr. Aldava, for the record, I move to approve the Freedom Classical Academy renewal application for a 4-year term beginning July 1st, 2026, and the enrollment gaps as outlined above in the recommendation memo. In the event of academic, financial, or organizational underperformance, the authority may impose additional oversight.
Thank you, Dr. Aldava. Do I have a second?
Member Homestead.
Member Richard.
You too. All right, we'll take Member Holmes-Sutton's second this time. All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and thank you. All right, last one on here for agenda item number 15D, Legacy Traditional Schools. Back to you, Mr. Peltier.
Thank you, Chair Thigpen. Legacy Traditional Schools submitted a renewal application to renew its charter contract that expires on June 30th, 2026. Legacy is a brick and mortar public charter school that currently serves 4,137 students in kindergarten through 8th grade across 3 campuses in Clark County. The Legacy renewal application describes the key design elements of the school. Legacy's approach is rooted in traditional education, emphasizing direct instruction and a content-rich curriculum focused on mastery in math and language arts. Students also benefit with auxiliary courses, enrichment opportunities, and a wide range of extracurricular activities that support academic and personal development. Legacy currently offers instruction at the elementary and middle school levels across their 3 campuses, as demonstrated by the 2 Nevada School Performance Frameworks and SPCSA Academic Framework ratings over the charter term. Academic performance was mixed across campuses and school levels, but has shown signs of improvement during the most recent academic rating cycles. The Cadence campus has mixed academic performance over the course of the charter term, with the elementary school generally not meeting state and SPCSA academic standards, while the middle school has fluctuated between meeting and not meeting state and SPCSA academic standards. Due to the academic underperformance, the Cadence Elementary School is currently under an academic notice of concern. However, the Cadence campus improved both under the SPCSA's academic framework and the NSPF during the 24-25 school year. The North Valley campus has mixed academic performance over the charter contract. The elementary school generally did not meet SPCSA and state academic standards, while the middle school has fluctuated between state and SPCSA academic standards. The North Valley Elementary School was identified in 2024 by NDE as an additional targeted support and intervention school due to its economically disadvantaged student group, performing in the bottom 5% of statewide NSPF scores. However, each campus significantly improved under the 24-25 NSPF and SPCSA academic performance framework, earning 4 stars and at both the elementary and middle, and meeting the SPCSA's performance framework. This led both campuses being elevated back to good standing. The Southwest campus has demonstrated solid academic performance over the charter contract, with the elementary and middle schools generally meeting or exceeding SPCSA and state academic standards. Legacy has not exhibited any major organizational or financial performance concerns over the course of the charter term. Ultimately, because the academic performance of the Legacy traditional schools has been mixed at some campuses and very strong at others throughout the current charter term, SPCSA staff recommends that the authority renew Legacy for a 5-year term beginning July 1st, 2026. The new term would be subject to the enrollment caps outlined in the memo. A proposed motion can be found on page 5.
Thank you, Mr. Peltier, and I see we have school leaders here in the boardroom. If you want to take a few minutes to add your own comments, you're welcome to do so now.
Grant Hewitt for the record, virtually. I want to say thanks to the board staff for a really thoughtful review process. We're excited for the recommendation. And now I'll kick it over to those in person.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany Curtis, Superintendent of Legacy Traditional Schools, Nevada, for the record. Thank you, Board President Thigpen and the board members for this opportunity to be before you today. I want to especially thank the SPCSA Executive Director McAdam for just the partnership that we've had over the years. Although I am new to the organization, we just completed 3 monitoring visits with the SPCSA. We got really good feedback from those visits. And while we recognize that our results are in fact mixed, that our performance at our schools has varied over time, that we're going to use the next 5 years to really dig into what our strategic priorities are and to lift the leadership, the instructional leadership across all 3 of our campuses. In the same way, we do believe that we can have solid results at all of our schools. There's no reason for us to have inconsistencies in student performance. So thank you for the consideration of a 5-year charter renewal, but also we want to especially thank the members of SPCSA for their partnership and how they continue to support our organization.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll bring it back to the board. Any questions or comments either for staff or school leadership? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Member Holmes Sutton, I would make the motion to approve the Legacy Traditional School renewal application for a 5-year term beginning July 1st, 2026, and the enrollment caps as outlined in the recommendation memo. In the event of academic, financial, or organizational underperformance, the authority may impose additional oversight.
Thank you, Member Holton Sutton. Do I have a second?
Member Shanti Rosales will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and thank you. All right, we made it to the finish line, folks. It is agenda item number 17, the long-range calendar with Director McKinnon.
All right, the long-range calendar sort of speaks for itself. As always, if there's agenda items you'd like to see on there, please reach out to me and I'll work with Chair Thigpen to work those into our agenda. Let us know if you're going to be out. We are going to be anticipating Governor Lombardo's appointment will be in place by our January board meeting, so we'll be back to a full board. And with that, I would just say thank you for all your hard work today and happy holidays to you and your families, and happy to take questions if you have them.
Any questions for Director McKinnon?
Not a question, but Member Shanti Rosales will not be at that meeting.
We got one. Okay, thank you. Everyone else can let us know in writing. You don't have to say it now. Thank you very much. Okay, we will open agenda item number 18, the last public comment period. This is for items that were not on today's agenda. I don't think we have any public comment in the boardroom. Do we have any public comment online?
Your public line is open and working, but you have no callers at this time.
Okay, I will take that as a no. Thank you very much. Well, it is now 12:43 p.m. We will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. I will thank you all for your commitment with being here today. Wish you all happy holidays and a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you.